Hey, good evening. Somebody. Um, Somebody has to mute. Okay. Still hearing it. Member Montgomery Trumbull, is it coming from there?
I don't have any audio on mine.
Seems to be stopping.
It's probably me. I thought it just meant mute here, but actually it
You gotta mute it all. Yep, okay. Good evening. Welcome to the August 11th, 2026 Northampton School Committee meeting. I'm Jean Louis Scherer, the Chair of the School Committee, and I will be presiding this evening. This meeting is being held both remotely on Zoom pursuant to the modification of the state's open meeting law for the pandemic, and in person here in the community room at JFK Middle School. This meeting and all participating will be audio and video recorded. And I will begin by asking our clerk, Anthony Morgan, to please call the roll of the school committee.
Okay, Mayor Scherer,
Present.
Member Bartley,
Present.
Member Weissenfreund, Member Montgomery Tamilton,
Here.
Member Stein,
You gotta mute, somebody's gotta mute.
Yeah. Something got unmuted.
Member Stein,
Can everyone please? Okay, so check that your Zoom audio is muted and your device
yeah.
has to be muted.
Hello?
Hello?
No.
Somebody unmuted in the Skype. Somebody's gotta mute the Skype. I mean.
Okay. I think it is. Okay. I just joined the audio to save myself the trouble.
I have not heard otherwise.
Okay.
Maybe, seems like maybe it's been resolved.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Oh, okay,
We good?
I think so. I don't hear it anymore.
okay, so Member Stein's not here yet. Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Present.
Member Reese,
Here.
Member Jewell,
Here.
and Member Saina Sullivan.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, we can proceed.
Great, and the following members are participating remotely. Members Mahoney, Reese, and Jewell. I think I got everybody. Okay, our first order of business is we want to recognize Bobby Jones. Today is her last day with the district. It is also her birthday. So she is not with us this evening, but we wanted to publicly thank her for her work for the Northampton Public Schools and for the time and care that she took with assisting the school committee in particular. She will be very missed, and we wish her all the very best for her retirement. So thank you, Bobby, and I hope you're having a great birthday, and I assume you're not watching, but I hope you are not watching.
We're thinking of you.
Receive that. And also, we are very happy to welcome Anne Marie De Silva Nemberkow, who is our new business manager, and this is her first meeting with us, so we're delighted you're here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Next up, we've got public comment. So we'll begin. If you wish to make a public comment, please sign up at the podium or use the raise hand feature on Zoom. We also always welcome written public comment, which is equally part of the public record at northampton-school-committee@northampton-k12.us. And anything you send there will be sent to all school committee members. Before you begin your comment, please state your name and your city or town for the public record. We welcome all comments and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Please know that the school committee does not respond during public comment as it's the public's time to speak. So while your comments should be directed to the school committee, you'll understand when we don't respond to them. To protect privacy rights, we ask that in your comments you do not use names of students or personnel. There is a limit of 3 minutes per person unless language interpretation was requested or accommodations for a communication disability have been requested at the start, in which case the time limit is then 6 minutes. And are you? Sure. And we will be setting a timer to ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to speak. According to the rules of procedure, the school committee receives public comment for a maximum of 90 minutes. So we are beginning public comment at 6:37. And thank you, Anthony. The first person we'll start with is Raymond Paquette.
These are other wives.
Thank you. Raymond Paquette, Black Birch Trail, Florence. You are going to be asked to vote tonight on a resolution which you've seen before. We brought it before you last month. The NACE, the Northampton Association of School Employees Immigrant Support Committee, brought you a resolution. So you've seen it. You're going to be asked to vote for it tonight. So I want to speak to that. The aspect that I'm speaking to is just training the staff. We have good ideas. People have good intents. I believe that everybody's heart's in the right place. Most everybody, not everybody, most everybody. But if people don't know exactly what to do if ICE shows up at our school, our intent means nothing. So part of our resolution involves creating and implementing training for all staff within the schools. So that's going to be important, and that's why we think it's important. The words mean nothing unless we have a plan to put them into action. And we've had, we have plans like ICE shows up, don't let him in. Okay, great, thanks. No criticism to anybody who's set that up, but we need more. And I've said, people mean well, but meaning well doesn't mean anything unless there's a plan to actually do something. Have a plan when ICE shows up, or is in the community, or is outside the school. They're not really likely to show up at the school. They're likely to be outside somewhere. So what's the plan there? And that's the difference between meaning well and doing well. One other aspect of this whole plan that I think is really important, which may not seem that important, is that I think our students need to know that we are allies. At first, we need to be allies, but the students need to know that we're allies. And making a plan, doing trainings, passing this resolution, these are all ways for us to hold ourselves accountable to being allies. Right? If we say we're going to do these things and we don't do them, we're not allies. Holding ourselves accountable is worth something. And I think students need to know that. The community needs to know that. The students' guardians need to know that. Here's a way of doing it. Also, schools are one place where students are likely to have some kind of intersection with resources. Our students are out there fearful because of the current situation with ICE. Some of them may be undocumented. Some of them may have family members. Some of them are just scared because they're brown. And I don't need to go into the details there. So they need to know that when they come to school, we're allies. They look at me. I don't want to speak for others in the room, even though I probably can, at least for some of us. They look at me, they see a white guy. They don't know if I'm an ally until I somehow make that clear. So this is a way, hopefully, to bring that forward and where we can all put some words out there and stand behind it and mean it, and they know that we mean it. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sue Sullivan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sue Sullivan, 98 North Elm Street. I am here as a resident of Northampton and an ELL teacher at Northampton High School. I've been there for over 10 years. I really love my job. And I second what Ray just had to say for my students. I thank him. I'm going to ask for 2 brief actions on 2 different topics tonight. The first is to please pass the Immigrant Solidarity Resolution, ensuring NPS safe zones for all of our students. As an ELL teacher of several immigrant students, I really want to see all schools in NPS come up with unique action plans around possible ICE presence. Unique in the sense that all of our buildings are structurally different and have various schedules for our students, whether it be outdoor recess or walking around Child's Park, as high school students often do with photography class, etc. In addition, I want to ensure NPS is not only training all of its main office staff, but also making sure that any substitute or fill-in main office staff are trained as well. On a different topic, I want to put in a strong plug for our new cell phone policy, and I'm really thankful that it was passed by the school committee. I would like it, though, to think about adjusting its current student consequences. Right now, as it stands, the first offense is to have the student lock up the cell phone if it's out, and it's not supposed to be in a pouch in front of the staff. But we strongly suggest that the first offense is immediate confiscation of the phone to the main office. And that's because if we have different staff putting the phones in the pouches and then being asked to check some sort of spreadsheet to keep track of what student is on what level of offense, I think that's going to be a lot for administration and teachers to manage. So that is also another plug coming from the Safe Schools, Phone-Free Schools Administrator Toolkit, which all of our administrators have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next is Ian Petty.
Hello, everyone. My name's Ian Petty. I live at 7 Adams Street in East Hampton, but I'm a teacher at Northampton High School, teach high school history. And I just want to speak a little bit to the impetus for this resolution, how it came out of NACE. There are two main things. The first was that a lot of teachers were hearing from students fears about ICE, unsure about how they might relate to ICE, including citizen students, unsure of what was going on in our political world, and they're looking for teachers for support. And so many educators offer that support in amazing ways, but we couldn't necessarily point to something we were doing collectively to support our students. So a lot of educators were interested in doing that together. And then the second thing was when Minneapolis educators and unionists put out a call to action as they were trying to resist their ICE occupation of their city. We had an amazing turnout, at least in the high school and I think across the district, of educators wearing blue in solidarity and showing up, and we kind of had an impromptu lunch meeting, and more educators showed up to that meeting than I'd seen at similar union meetings in the past. So there was real energy for us to do something about it. On the union end, that has looked like putting up signs in our classroom, showing our students where we stand, having conversations about how we support students individually. But we know that it takes more than just us individually in our classrooms, and so we wanted to put forward this resolution so we have a concrete plan for how we do that as a district and a community. I'm super heartened by the rallies that there have been and the sense in Northampton that we stand against ICE violence, and we try to build schools that are truly public, that include all of our community members. But I think, as Ray pointed out, the action is the important part of that. And while we haven't seen the same kind of drastic occupation that we saw in Minneapolis, we know that ICE has affected many of our community members, including families of our students. And also that if we truly care about that issue, I think being proactive and being prepared is the best way we can show support for our students so that we have a plan. In the communities that have shown the best resistance to ICE and the most success in keeping their communities safe, it's people who have developed these networks of solidarity and come up with a plan beforehand. So I hope this resolution does that. It includes some specific steps, but I think more importantly, it kind of outlines a process for collaboration going forward between the union, the district, and hopefully the wider community so that we can be on the same page ahead of time and hopefully avoid some of the worst excesses of ICE. And ideally, this puts us in a strong place to even move forward on broader kind of networks of community solidarity that don't just happen in our schools, but kind of use the schools and the fact that they're a trust hub for many students to help our whole community. So please pass this resolution and look forward to organizing with you all on this going forward.
Thanks. Okay, and next is Aaron. Hi, if you could please give us your full name and your city or town, please.
My name's Aaron Mendelson. I'm a Northampton resident, 30 Middle Street. I'm the parent of a Leeds Elementary student. I'm a teacher at Smith Vocational. I'm also here in support of the MOU to support protocols and training for staff at all Northampton public schools. And I ask that you consider what this is really about. What we know is that when students are taken into ICE custody, they might not see their families again. And you know, regardless of your position on immigration or law enforcement, you know that's wrong. And I would really like to see our community take the actions to stand up and say, we're going to do what's right. And I think that this memorandum of understanding is a good step in that direction. Let us all take the steps that we can to do what's right. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on Zoom is Jamie Lawrence.
Jamie Lawrence, 108 Hendrick Street, East Hampton. I'm also the Latin teacher at Northampton High School. I just want to echo what the previous speakers have said. What we discovered as we were initially planning a response to ICE was that we had a lot of will and good intentions, but we didn't have a lot of organization, and we didn't have a lot of plan. And what this resolution represents is a real plan that we can use. And as Ian said, it represents a grounds for moving forward and organizing, but it's something that we can bring to the staff in all of our schools, something that we can tell our students, this is what we're doing, this is how we should act if something like this, God forbid, comes to pass. So I urge the committee to pass the resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else present like to speak? Okay, seeing none and no hands, we will be done with public comment. Thank you, everybody. And Anthony, I'm going to give you this. And that brings us to announcements by school committee members. Any announcements? Yes, Member Sanders Sullivan.
Yes. On behalf of the Northampton Education Foundation, just reporting that they appreciated having the opportunity to meet with Superintendent Azarloza and share how NEF can support Northampton public education. NEF will hold its annual board retreat at the end of the month. Continues to be 100% volunteer board with no employees. Liz Horn, the incoming NEF president, will speak at convocation on the 24th. The fall small grants to educators proposal deadline is October 19th. Northampton High School is entering the third and final year of its first 3-year endowment funding cycle. JFK is entering the second year of that first 3-year cycle, and the preschool and elementary schools are entering the first year of the 3-year cycle. NEF wishes us all a terrific start to the new school year.
Great, thank you, and thank you to them. Member Stein?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of acknowledge that our colleague, Member Weisenfreund, recently made a career transition. After leading our local Head Start in Western Mass program for the last 17 years, she's moved on to consulting. And one of her last accomplishments you might have read about was extending a Head Start program in East Hampton. It was reported on the Gazette recently. And really grateful for all of her work, especially in a moment where the Trump administration is viciously attacking Head Start and trying to dismantle its ability to provide resources, especially for children that don't speak English, who are poor, whose immigration status may be different. And I've learned a lot about that work from Anat, and really wishing her well as she takes the next step in her career. I'm just grateful for all your work.
Thank you for that. Any other announcements? Don't see anyone on Zoom. Okay, so we're going to move to recommended actions, which are the minutes, and we are again approving minutes for accuracy. So the minutes of the previous meetings are there and been distributed. Are there any removals for corrections to the minutes? Member Reese.
On item B, the June 11 full school committee meeting minutes, on page 3, there, I think this just scriveners are for the NOM scholarship mention. There's it should be, we can just erase the first name and replace it with Shira Sweet, and then the second name is Ryan Rodmickle, as it should be. So it just looked like it got copied down wrong.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any removals for? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, so and let me just, sorry, I should have noted, these are the June 11th, 2026 meeting minutes, June 11th, Student Advisory Committee meeting minutes, June 17th, 2026 meeting minutes, and the July 29th meeting minutes. So motion to approve those four.
Motion to approve the June 11th and 2026 meeting minutes, the June 11th Student Advisory Committee meeting minutes, the June 17th school committee meetings, and the July 29th school committee meetings.
Second.
Motion's made by member Montgomery Tomaclo, seconded by member, was that Sainer Sullivan? Okay, when you are ready, roll call, please.
Okay, member Bartley,
Yes.
member Vice,
Yes.
member Montgomery Tamaclo,
Yes.
member Stein,
Abstain.
member Martin,
Yes.
member Mahoney,
Yes.
member Reese,
Yes.
member Jewell,
Yep. Yes.
member Sainer Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Chiara.
Yes.
Okay, that passed.
Okay, there are no recommended actions too, so we will move to reports and recommendations. And our first report of the superintendent, one district, one direction, and Superintendent Azarloza.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As part of my report of the superintendent, I'd like to introduce my executive coach for the new superintendent induction program for the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, Dr. Joseph Sawyer.
Good evening, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Joe Sawyer. I'm executive coach with the Youth Superintendent Induction Program, which is a program provided
Oh.
to the Association of School Superintendents.
Wait, hold on, I'm sorry, one sec, something's gone awry. Thank you, and could we put the volume up a little bit? I'm having trouble hearing the folks on Zoom.
Oh, Zoom?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, apologies. Could you start again, because I don't think anyone heard you other than us.
That's okay. I am a former assistant principal and principal, so I do have a voice that can be heard in school settings. But I appreciate the microphone. My name is Joe Sawyer. I'm a executive coach with the new Superintendent's Induction Program. That's a program that's provided to the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents. It's been going on about its 16th year now, I believe. I just completed 17 years as superintendent of schools in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, and just recently retired at the end of June. I've been really pleased to join this program as a coach, and I'm really pleased that I've been assigned to work with Superintendent Azarloza. I've been in the field of education for 35 years, again, last 17 as superintendent. The new Superintendent Induction Program, commonly known as NSIP, is a statewide collaboration between the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Mass Association of School Superintendents. This year, out of the 35 new superintendents across the Commonwealth, 34 are participating. It's a cohort model. It's a 3-year program, a very intensive induction model. It has 4 core objectives. One is to have a robust entry process. You'll hear about that in a little bit from Superintendent Azarloza. To build a robust entry plan that builds a deep understanding of the superintendent's new district and identifies key issues related to the success of all students with a focus on equity. Then after that plan is implemented, to share a set of findings, a comprehensive report of entry findings with the committee and the community in order to establish shared priorities, to align strategically in order to develop a widely understood leadership strategy for the district that's connected to the district's strategic priorities, and ultimately establishing structures to monitor, assess, and refine your district's initiatives over time. As I mentioned, it's a cohort model during the first year.
The sound cut out on Zoom. Sounds like they can't hear us on Zoom at all. I'm so sorry.
That's quite all right.
Okay, we are back. Sorry about that technical problem. Hopefully everyone can now hear us. You will let us know if you can't. And my apologies again for 2 false starts.
No
Please.
worries, no worries at all. For those who maybe weren't able to hear, let me just summarize briefly. My name is Joe Sawyer. I am the recently retired superintendent of schools from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, where I was superintendent for 17 years and became a coach in the new superintendent's induction program, which is coordinated by the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents in conjunction with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And I had the good fortune of being assigned to be the coach this year for Superintendent Azarloza. The program really focused on helping superintendents who are new to their district get off to a strong start. It is a cohort model. I think I mentioned of the 34 new superintendents this year, 33 are participating. So Superintendent Azarloza is part of a group of over 30 new superintendents who do a lot of learning together over the course of the year in a cohort model, meetings each month. There are actually 48 hours of content in year 1, another 40 in year 2. In the 3rd year, it moves to more of a regional consultancy model with regional superintendents and coaches doing sort of a problems of practice approach in their 3rd year. But it's a 3-year induction program designed to help the superintendent succeed in their new district. I provide direct coaching opportunities for Superintendent Azarloza. That would be 60 hours in year 1. That includes one-on-one sessions, observations of cabinet or different team meetings. I had the good fortune of being here last week and being able to observe part of one of her cabinet meetings. Classroom walkthroughs in schools and feedback on different elements of her role through strategic communications, community engagement. I'm here to observe this evening when she presents her entry plan and her proposed goals. It's a confidential coaching relationship, as you might imagine. It's developmental. It's to help designed to help new superintendents continue to grow their leadership capacity over the course of their first 3 years in the role in their new community. The focus really for those first year especially is to certainly maintain district initiatives that are already underway. I think your cell phone policy would be a good example of that. To maintain operational stability for the district while they're getting and learning about the district, fully engage in the NISIP programming and coaching in their entry plan, and execute that thorough, transparent entry plan process with a robust series of findings to be reported out later in her first year. So with that, I just want to acknowledge certainly Superintendent Azarloza, her very proactive engagement with the Northampton community, her commitment to the community and her enthusiasm regarding supporting your public schools. Her entry plan is designed to be a collaborative, transparent roadmap that's designed for listening and learning and partnering with the committee, with your students, with your staff, families, and community. So as I turn it back over to the mayor and to Superintendent Azarloza, I want to thank the school committee for supporting her participation in INSIP. I'm very confident it will be useful to her and then ultimately to you, obviously as the shared goal of your new superintendent being successful. So I'm really pleased to be working with Superintendent Azarloza and look forward to hearing her present this evening. So thanks for having me this evening.
Thank you. Thanks for being here this evening, and thanks for the support that you're providing. Appreciate it. Okay, Superintendent Azarloza.
Thank you. If Mr. Morgan can just bring up my Google slideshow, I will begin. Can you just go to slide 1? Great, thank you. So I've been in this role for a little over a month, and before I can determine where we go next, I just need to understand where we are today. Tonight, I'll share that framework that will guide our work during my first year as your new superintendent. Next slide. Thank you, Anthony. So by the end of the night, my hope is that you'll leave understanding 3 things. First, how I'm approaching my transition to Northampton. Second, how my work directly supports the strategic plan. And third, how you'll know whether I'm successful. Next slide, thank you. So whenever a superintendent enters a district, there's pressure to move quickly, to have answers, to fix things, to make changes. And that's not really where leadership begins. Leadership begins with trust. So my first responsibility isn't changing Northampton, it's understanding Northampton. Next slide, please. So how do I learn what a district truly needs? I start by listening intentionally and without any preconceived answers. I've met with close to 100 people so far in my listening and learning tour. I review data, ask questions, look for patterns, and spend time understanding what the numbers do and don't tell us. This fall, I'll be in classrooms observing teaching and learning because some of the most important insights can't be captured on a spreadsheet. Next slide, please. Every district has strengths worth protecting and opportunities worth pursuing. My responsibility is to know the difference and to ensure that every recommendation that I bring forward is thoughtful, evidence-based, and in the best interest of scholars. Next slide. Strategic plans don't improve scholar outcomes. People do, and I often say that. I think about this framework in 3 simple questions. The strategic plan answers what we want to accomplish as a district. My entry plan answers how I'll learn about our current reality, and implementation is where the learning begins to translate into action. It's our responsibility to move the strategic plan off paper and into classrooms where children feel the impact. This is what it means to operationalize a strategic plan. This slide is probably the most important slide in tonight's presentation. Everything we do as an organization follows a cycle. The strategic plan is where we're going. The entry plan is learning our current state. Implementation is putting our work into action. Monitoring is checking whether it's working. Reporting is being transparent about what we learned. Continuous improvement is adjusting and getting better. If you notice, there's no finish line. Improvement isn't an event, it's a culture. The best way I can describe it is to use this framework is to think of it as a GPS. Our strategic plan tells us where we want to go. My entry plan will help us understand where we are today. Implementation is the route we take. Monitoring tells us whether we're still on course. My report to the superintendent that I'll provide in December is where we check our progress. When needed, recalculate the route. And continuous improvement means we keep learning, adjusting, and moving toward our destination. One of the reasons I wanted to share this framework tonight is because I don't want the community to wonder how decisions are made. I want you to understand the process behind them. Next slide, please. No single conversation, observation, or data point can tell us the whole story of a school district. These 8 areas give us a disciplined way to examine Northampton from multiple perspectives. I'm not looking at these areas in isolation either. I'm looking for the connections between them, and because what appears to be an academic issue may actually be connected to staffing, systems, resources, climate, or access. The goal is to understand the organization as a whole before drawing conclusions. Next slide, please. As I work through these areas, I'm really trying to answer a deeper set of questions. Where are our systems strong and consistent across the district? Where are they dependent on a particular person or school? Where do we have alignment and where do we have variation? What does the experience of our scholars and families and caregivers look like from one school to another? And importantly, where do our outcomes tell us that something needs greater attention? I'm also testing what I hear against what I see from the data and what it tells us. If I hear something once, that's a perspective. If I hear it repeatedly and see it in practice and find evidence through the data, now we have a pattern. Next slide, please. And this is where the work begins to move from learning to leadership. Oh, I think we went too far. We can go back one slide. Thank you. I'm not collecting information simply to produce a report in December. I'm looking for patterns that help us determine what needs to be protected and what needs to be strengthened and what needs to be changed. Some things I learn may require immediate attention, so I'm not waiting until December or January to make changes. Others may point to longer-term priorities. Some may confirm that we're already headed in the right direction, so we stay the course. And some may challenge assumptions that we've held as an organization, also known as past practice. Ultimately, I want to be able to connect the dots. Here's what I heard, here's what I observed, here's what the data shows, here's what it means, and here's what I recommend that we do next. That's how the entry plan becomes strategic direction rather than simply a collection of conversations. Next slide, please. This roadmap represents my commitment to a transparent transition. I often say transparency is paramount. Each phase has a purpose. I begin my listening and building relationships, which I've already done, many of which, close to 100, hopefully another 100 in the next month or two. Then I deepen that learning through data, observations, and a closer examination of our systems. From there, I begin identifying patterns and testing what I'm learning with the people closest to the work. By December, my recommendations won't be based on isolated conversations or a single data point. They're reflected through months of engagement, observation, analysis, and collaboration. And the community should be able to see the through line from what I've learned to what I identified to what I'm recommending and ultimately to what we do about it. Next slide, please. These are my draft goals. You'll notice this goal in particular isn't about completing an entry plan. It's about developing strategic direction. Listening is important, but listening alone doesn't improve a school district. My responsibility is to take everything I hear, combine it with what I observe and what the data tells us, and synthesize that information into something meaningful. By December, my goal is to answer 4 questions. What are we doing exceptionally well that we want to preserve? What opportunities do we have to improve? What should become our highest priorities? And how do we move forward together? That's what success on this goal looks like. Not that I listened, but that I learned enough to help us determine where we go next. Next slide, please. This second goal, one of the expectations that I have for our organization is that we never stop learning. And that expectation has to begin with me. I came to Northampton with experience, but I didn't come here believing that experience means I have all the answers. Every district is different. Every community is different. Every leadership role should continue to stretch you. Through this new superintendent induction program, executive coaching, feedback, and ongoing reflection, I'm going to continue strengthening my practice. I want to model the same thing I will ask of anyone in this organization, to learn, reflect, adjust, and get better. Next slide, please. And finally, ultimately, this isn't about implementing Annie's ideas. It's about helping Northampton achieve Northampton's vision. So what exactly does that actually look like this year? It means taking the priorities we've identified as a district and building the systems necessary to execute them consistently across the district. You'll hear me often say we don't want to be a district of schools, but rather a school district. It means making sure our schools aren't operating as separate islands, that our principals and district leaders have clarity around our priorities, that we're developing greater consistency in areas like teaching and learning, scholar support, discipline, communication, and operational practices. It means establishing clear structures for implementation, who owns the work, what we're trying to accomplish, how we'll know whether it's happening, and what we'll do next if it isn't. And there will be times when evidence tells us something isn't working. That's where the continuous improvement cycle I showed you earlier becomes real. We monitor, we learn, and we adjust, pivot, or stay the course. So by the end of this year, I want us to be able to point to concrete examples and say, the system is more aligned than it was a year ago. This practice is more consistent across all of our schools. This priority moved from an idea on paper to something scholars are actually experiencing in the classroom. That's what success on goal number 3 looks like to me. I'm incredibly grateful and humbled to have the opportunity to serve this community. I thank you for your trust, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any Zoom folks? Any questions or comments for the superintendent? Member Stein?
I'm wondering if this is sort of a question not related to a specific element of your slide, but about your overall sort of efforts that you've made to really get to know people on your listening tour. I'm wondering sort of what things you've been surprised by learning, or that you reinforce things you already knew. Just like what's been your experience of that process?
I can tell you, every person I've spent time with is so passionate about the Northampton Public Schools. They want to be a part of improving the district. You know, there are some patterns that are surfacing. I'd like to just complete that the listening and learning tour, but there have been themes that have surfaced. Some are not surprising, only because I've done a little bit of homework on Northampton. And some are a bit surprising, and that's also normal. But I'm excited to continue to learn, and I'm also excited to take that deeper dive into the data to see if what I'm hearing qualitatively, I'm seeing quantitatively as well.
And thank you for doing that work.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Member Montgomery.
So thank you for your presentation, Superintendent Azarloza, and thank you for your goals. I appreciate that they are clear. I also want to let everyone know the reason why they're draft is because we know it's the beginning of the school year, and we talked about this, how we want to make sure that Superintendent Azarloza is successful, and she has a lot on her plate, and we want to make sure that we are enabling her to do the work that she needs to do, especially as she's being part of the new induction program and doing her listening and learning tour, and she's implemented the cell phone ban, and school hasn't started yet, and she's done all of this. So that is why they are draft and they are not finalized.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Did I miss anybody? Yes. Martin.
Just quickly, thank you. I know you're doing a ton of work to learn about us, and, I appreciate your thoughtfulness in your approach, and not, I think there's you could say passion. I definitely agree that that's true, and I think for some people there's a level of urgency, and it's a challenge to, move quickly, but with thoughtfulness too, and I see that in your approach thus far, and look forward to seeing, hearing more from you over time.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And next, we have our first business administrators report from, would you prefer Anne Marie, Ms. Nembertow? How do you
Anne
like?
Marie's fine.
Anne Marie?
Yeah, I know we're confusing everybody with the Annie.
A lot.
And then in Anne Marie, there's a lot of A's this year, so.
Please, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Attached, you have the budget report. You have 2 items on there. One of them is the FY27 monthly expenditure for July 31st. And the second I have on there is the warrants that the school committee representative had already approved and gone through and vetted for questions. As far as the July budget, so far we have expended and encumbered about 4.4% of the budget, leaving us right now, we're at 95%. So far, what I've reviewed in my first couple of weeks, we are tracking as expected for the summer and for the month of July. I will continue to monitor the budget and individual accounts with spending and any issues that may come up. I will definitely report to the superintendent and to the school committee. But that is it as of now. If you have any questions or any questions regarding the warrants, those I will try to answer.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Anne Marie? I'm gonna let her off easy the first time.
We did have a meeting yesterday.
Yes,
as
that's
well,
true.
so.
Go ahead, yes, Member Sanders Sullivan.
Just a quick question about the warrants. Is their appearance or anything about them going to change that I should be aware of as you sort of
No, not at all.
make any changes? No?
No, not at all. We're going to keep them status quo and keep the system that we have had. And then any questions that you have been wonderful, and thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. Great, yeah, Member Stein.
This is, sorry. This is a question about some of the warrants. As I looked through them, it seemed like they were largely related to cafeteria expenditures. If I'm thinking about all the ones I read through the other day. And if you're able, and if you're not, that's fine, to just sort of talk to us about how those funds are being drawn from our revolving account, or where are those funds coming from, and what are they doing as they're being expended during the summer to provide resources to our students over the summer. I'm just curious about all those warrants that we got.
Okay. I would have to review, and I can report back to you, but I can tell you that our cafeteria, our food service program is self-sustaining. So monies that coming in is going out. She's running an excellent program there. I was even told that Desi had just did a report and an audit, and Northampton was held to a very high standard, and that we are setting the bar, that she is running an excellent program. So we are self-sustaining, so it's all coming from any type of food service. We're free, reduced. Actually, we're free meals, lunch, and breakfast. So the money that, we're reporting to the state, the students that are eating, we're getting that money monthly back in claims. And so we're self-sustaining. So the program's paying for itself, which is wonderful, which is what you want to see for a school district.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions? Then, thank you, Emery. We can move to the Budget and Property Subcommittee report, and Member Stein.
We had a meeting yesterday. It was the first time we got to have the superintendent and Anne Marie and Anthony with us. And we covered a lot of ground. I recommend folks who weren't able to attend to watch it just to see kind of what we discussed. Some brief highlights. We talked about some of the tracking changes that the superintendent would like to implement going forward. We had a first look at a enrollment report, which we're going to start to look at on a more monthly basis to see who's coming in and who's leaving the district, and to see what our student population numbers really are. We had an update on the out-of-school time program, which was fantastic. A very detailed sort of look at the voucher program. It's going to take a while to pursue. We're getting sort of a late start, so we can't rely on that revenue until we get all of those things accomplished. We also looked at the overall program revenues based on the fees model that's been communicated. And at present, it looks like the program is going to not experience sort of any financial challenges as it gets going. We have enough money sort of in the revolving account to float things. And, we will learn more as the year goes on, but it looks as if the revenue that's going to be generated will sustain it. We looked at the enrollment numbers for that program, which were really wonderful. And you can see sort of almost a mirror if you were to look at the three elementary schools that did not have an out-of-care program prior. About half the number at Leeds is signed up already at each of the other three schools, which tells me that we're sort of hitting that half mark where the Y might have the other half. So we're reaching a significant number of students already who have decided to participate, which is really great. One thing I did want to mention, or two things. One was related to an inquiry we got from a constituent regarding the pay structure. And so in the past, at the Leeds model, you were able to pay by the hour, and now that's sort of grouped into two blocks. But folks that had that are going to be able to continue to have that at Leeds, which I think is great. And the other thing is that you're going to be asked when you do sign up if you're interested in half-day care, which I'm really excited about because it's one of the biggest challenges we hear from caregivers about is the difficulty of managing childcare on half days. So as the superintendent explained to us at the meeting.
They can't hear, Mike.
Oh, no.
You guys can't hear?
I was able to hear. I heard all the enrollment data.
Oh, can you still hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It sounds like we're back on. And I forget where I was.
A half day.
Oh, the half day, yeah. So there's going to be sort of a survey to see if you're interested, right? And the idea being that once we can figure out what the interest is in accessing childcare during those days, the program director will start to build out the model where we can provide that, which should provide an affordable and easy solution to many caregivers to deal with that challenge, which I'm very excited about. I think it's going to help a lot. Other thing we talked about was sort of some of the financial modeling we'd like to see during. It's still bad?
What's that? No, use these mics should be working now, yes.
Oh, okay.
But I would be surprised if they hadn't heard you, but.
The other thing we're going to look at is sort of a ongoing budget that includes all of the other revenue sources that are tied to positions. So what you see tonight is sort of a look at the local appropriation and doesn't include the $4 to $5 million in grants revolving accounts and other things that fund into the budget and specific programs, specific line items. So we're going to have that on an ongoing basis, which I think will help us understand where we're tracking as the year goes on. We also talked about unbudgeted positions. We're going into the year without a line item balance budget. Part of that has to do with the fact that additional things were added after the budget was passed. Some of it has to do with unexpected needs that have come up that we have to provide. So there's a number of special education staffing positions we're going to have to provide. Those are currently unbudgeted for. So we're going to have to look at our budget, figure out how we're going to absorb a lot of those costs, and see how we're tracking over time to make sure that we are not on a trajectory to go red. So those are some of the things we talked about. Thought it was a really informative meeting. If you're interested in those things, take a look at it, and you'll learn more. And yeah, I really appreciated having the new folks with us, and I look forward to more conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. And Member Jewell, do you have CPAC report?
There is no CPAC report for this month, as they start meeting when school starts. So I can go right into the curriculum, instruction and culture of learning subcommittee update, which is super short. We met with Rachel Nicholas and Superintendent Azarloza, and from Rachel Nicholas, we received an update regarding assessments, as some of the assessments are changing. We're not using iReady and using several others. And on the curriculum, where we are in the elementary reading curriculum and moving into the middle school, is starting a reading curriculum, but it's a soft start. The teachers are being asked to use 2 units instead of the full ones to really be intentional and how they're doing it, and to make sure it's working for everyone. And Superintendent Azarloza shared some of the academic trends in our district. And I encourage you to watch that meeting. It's an hour long. If you're watching on YouTube, you can even double time it if you need to get through time. But it was good and really informative to look at the different academic trends and specifically around achievement. And we will also be holding another meeting at the end of this month. I think it's the last Monday of this month, which is maybe I think it's the 31st, to really focus on the high school and graduation requirements. As we know, the state came out with their findings, and we've been doing ours in Northampton, and they're not complete in alignment. So we get to look at that and also check in and see how the schedule shift for the high school is going after the first week of school.
Great, thank you. Member Bartley, is there a legislative update?
Yes, there is. So Superintendent Azarloza and I met with Representative Sabadosa last week. It was an opportunity for them to meet each other for the first time. We discussed a couple of things. One is first of all, the first time I met with Sabadosa, we discussed setting up a calendar for advocacy at the state level and what that might look like. And so we talked about that when we met, and then also came to the agreement that the rep will meet with the superintendent quarterly to get a sense of what some of the school's needs are, what's happening with the district's budget, which I think is a really great opportunity for further partnership between us and the state. In addition to that, Rep. Sabadosa asked that I very specifically mention that the Chapter 70 Review Commission has been established. It will be a 2-year process. So that means it will be a couple of years before any recommendations come out about changes to Chapter 70. That is it.
Thank you. Okay. That brings us to new business. And first up is the agreement between Northampton Public Schools and the YMCA for the use of school facilities for the after-school programming, which we will vote on this MOA. Superintendent Azarloza.
Sure, this is the correct MOA with the changes that the school committee had recommended. One of the biggest changes is that it's a 1-year agreement. And it has been reviewed by legal, so they have given us the green light.
Great. Would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the MOA with the YMCA for the time period ending at the end of July 2027.
Second. Is that what the document says? Okay. Motion's made by member Montgomery Tomaclo. Where was the second member? Sandra Sullivan was the second. Yes, discussion? Member Weisenfried?
Yeah, so, yes, thank you for that. Thank you for making those changes. I guess I have a question regarding consistency. I see today on the agenda the policy regarding school community use of facilities with fee charts, et cetera. And I know that in this agreement with the Y, the district does not charge the Y for use of facilities. And so I guess my question is, do we not charge anybody who's providing services to the district students, or is that special for the Y?
Marie, I don't know if you're able to answer that, or Superintendent as well as I don't know.
I have to look into it
Yeah.
further.
I guess that's, I mean, I wouldn't even have thought of it honestly, but, you know, somebody put the use of facilities on the agenda, and it's very clear that the district does charge entities who use our space. So I just want to make sure that we're consistent, right? So, and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe we're not charging them because they're serving our students, they're fulfilling a very important function, I understand that. But then I think that should be applied consistently, and I guess I'd like some information about that.
Okay, I would imagine that is why, since it's directly providing a service to.
Right, so are there other clubs who are also maybe providing services to our students, but we charge them for the space?
Member Sandra Sullivan?
I mean, I took it, when I was reading this chart, that in column A, it is for municipal agencies or programs operated by nonprofits for the benefit of MPS or its students. And then the next three columns, B, C, and D, there are charges. And so in B, it's other nonprofit tax-exempt organizations located in Northampton for non-commercial purposes whose membership is composed primarily of Northampton residents. So the cost gets greater as the connection gets farther away from the schools. And I think that there probably are other groups that don't pay anything, like the YMCA, because it directly benefits the schools.
I agree. I think it's addressed in the current policy that is on the agenda. Any other discussion? Okay. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Member Weisenfreund?
Abstain.
Member Montgomery Tamacloud?
Yes.
Member Stein?
Yes.
Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Reese?
Yes.
Member Jewell?
Yes.
Member Saina Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Chiara?
Yes.
Member Bartley?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to B, which is NACE's Immigrant Solidarity Committee Resolution. Northampton Public Schools ensuring schools as safe zones free from immigration enforcement. And it looks like Member Martin and Superintendent Azarloza are going to present.
Yeah, and I'm going to kick it off. Really, I think our wonderful public commentators, our teachers, did a beautiful job outlining why they are asking us to consider this resolution. But just briefly to reiterate, you know, clearly, although as far as we know, we don't have ICE entering our schools, they are in our community and have impacted local families, and the fear is real in our immigrant community. And everything we can do to both demonstrate our commitment and make that real through protocols, training, support, shows our whole community who we are and that we actually live up to our values. I will just say why I'm doing this is that the NACE Immigrant Support Committee approached me because of immigrant support work I do in the community. And I've been honored to talk with them a little bit about this, but it really has been a light lift. I did meet with 2 of them and the superintendent last week to review the resolution, and we were all in alignment about its importance. And we also agreed that, you know, this is a symbolic gesture, but we would like it also to be institutionalized in a policy. So I have one small correction, and then I'll make a motion about this. The superintendent did a beautiful job in her background and rationale document. And the only thing I wanted to comment on that is that I wasn't doing that as a member of the negotiations committee. I was just doing that as an individual school committee member. And though the other members of the committee have not been involved, I welcome, of course, their input along with all of yours. That said, I do want to make a motion that the school committee adopt this resolution, and that also we refer this issue to the Rules and Policy Subcommittee with a charge to develop a policy regarding immigrant safety to really underline how important this is to our community. And I also would call on our legislative liaison to address ICE abuses and immigrant safety in her meetings with legislators going forward.
Second.
Okay, motion's made by Member Martin, and I'm sorry, it was seconded by,
Member Mahoney?
Member Mahoney. Thank you. I knew I heard it from somewhere. Thank you. Superintendent Ezra-Loza, is there anything you would like to share before?
No, I just wanted to say I had a wonderful meeting with Ian and with Ray. Fully supported. I sent it to our cabinet team. We are in full support of this, and I'm really excited about joining forces and making this happen.
Great, thank you. Member Bartley.
Yeah, I want to thank the superintendent, Member Martin, and the representation from NAES for coming up with this resolution. I think it's a really important one, and I'm really grateful to everyone who has put in time and energy for this. I'd love to take it up with our legislators. I don't know if I have enough background knowledge to do so, and I'm wondering, Member Martin or Superintendent Ezra-Loza, if it would be appropriate for either of you to join those meetings?
Absolutely.
Great, okay. And anyone from NAES as well who wants to join is also welcome. And I'll appreciate all the support I can get on this. My question is in terms of moving this past the symbolic and into the operational, what is that going to take? Are we capable of doing it as a district? I just want to hear more from you about that, Superintendent.
Sure. There are elements of it that are already in practice. And so what we want to do is look at it next Tuesday during our tactical cabinet meeting and make sure that we're implementing it across the district from day one when school starts.
Thank you.
Okay, Member Stein.
Yeah, I really appreciate this as well, and I just want to thank Member Martin for keeping this on the radar for what feels like a long time. And I was disappointed we didn't make more progress with this over the last year, and really feels like a breath of fresh air to hear your support for it, Superintendent, and the idea that we're going to actually try to operationalize it. So I'm really grateful for that. And I am still really concerned that we don't have a lot of office monitoring, and we don't have people looking at doors all the time, and that we don't have staffing to sort of be aware of who is coming and who is going, and we don't necessarily have the technology to do so either. I'm doubly worried now that we're taking away other forms of communication like cell phones for other safety reasons, but I really do want us to think about what we might actually need in order to have people monitoring who's coming and going from our buildings at all times, because this is like a core element of this issue. Thank you.
Member Montgomery-Tomlinson.
I want to thank Member Martin and the superintendent and NACE for their work on this, and I'm glad that we're finally able to move this forward. I echo my colleague Member Stein's concerns about the front office staffing, and also the fact that I would hope that when we're developing our process, that we make sure that there's backup, because we all have seen how aggressive ICE can be. And even though people have training and they have good intentions, one person may feel very isolated and alone and forced to give up information just because of how aggressive they are. So I want us to keep that in mind and have redundancies in place so that like it's not just one person standing alone. It's at least a group of two so that people can like feel supported in the moment.
Okay, I will, I'll also add my thanks to you, Member Martin, and Nace and Superintendent Ezra-Loza for picking this up so quickly. I'm appreciative of this work for the district. I was a co-sponsor of the Safe City Ordinance that the city passed in 2019 when I was a counselor. We have an administrator order that covers a lot of this for city employees. So I'm grateful that we are looking at how to really make it, sort of codify it and make it very clear for the district. So appreciate all the work. Okay, if there's no further discussion, roll call. Sorry. Oh, yes.
What is the timeline for this? School starts in 3 weeks. And I know like it's going to be referred to rules and policy. So what are we thinking like should be the timeline for trying to implement this?
I think Superintendent
It's
Ezra was
immediate, right?
addressed.
May I speak?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so we're meeting next Tuesday. There are already elements that are being operationalized. I want to make sure it's consistent across all 6 schools, but my intent is that day 1, it will be implemented.
Thank you.
Yes.
And again, the motion is to send this to rules and policy to then create a policy around it that backs up the resolution, which is an expression but is not a policy. Okay, roll call, please.
Member Stein.
Yes.
Member Martin.
Yes.
Member Mahoney.
Yes.
Member Reese.
Yes.
Member Jewell.
Yes.
Member Saina Sullivan.
Yes.
Ms. Yara.
Yes.
Member Bartley.
Absolutely, yes.
Member Weisenfreund.
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclar.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Great, thank you, and thank you for being here, for your comments tonight. Next, we have facilities use fees, which has a vote attached to it as well. And Anne Marie, would you like to speak to this, which we spoke to a little bit, but.
The vote was to recommend it to refer to the Rules and Policy Committee. It hasn't been updated, I think, since 2010. As of right now, there are no fees increased, but just so it can be reviewed, and if there were any increases, and I know, there was a motion to request some more information regarding the facilities use, so that was why we had put it on the agenda. As of right now, we don't have an increase to the fees, so you wouldn't be voting on fees, it would just be voting on to recommend it to review. I believe every so many years it's put back on the agenda so it can be reviewed.
Oh, okay, so so this is not just your recommendation that we should review it and perhaps reconsider the fees? This is something that is done?
It's done periodically, I think every couple of years. It's placed back on the agenda just for a review. So I haven't increased any of the fees. That would have to be a vote.
Yep.
But it hasn't been updated as far as the policy since 2010.
Okay.
And so just moving forward, I think it would just be a good recommendation just to review it. At least everyone puts eyes on it again.
So not to be dense, but so it was updated in 2010, but it's been reviewed since 2010, you believe?
I believe so.
Okay, but just nothing was changed. Okay.
Nothing was
Great.
changed.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure, you
Okay.
can ask a question after a motion too. Go ahead.
So, Superintendent Ezra-Loza and I have been in discussion about agenda setting for the Rules and Policy Subcommittee. And one of the things that we agreed on is that she would take a look at the policy chart that the old Rules and Policy Subcommittee left for us and that she would help us prioritize what we should take on when, in addition to other pressing matters that come up. So I guess I want to understand, is this something urgent, or is this something that can be part of Superintendent Azarloza's prioritization process?
So this was something that I believe it was old business that came on for this month. It's definitely not a priority. So it would go on the chart, but it would not be something that we would prioritize in the next few months.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to refer the facility use fees to rules and policy for review?
Motion to refer the facilities use fees to rules and policy for review.
I second.
Okay, motion's made by Member Sanders Sullivan, I think seconded by Member Reese. Okay, great. Further discussion? Yep, Member Stein?
Yeah, I mean, just real briefly, I think we talked about this recently in regards to like the harmonizing of how things end up on subcommittee agendas. But it is an interesting moment, right? We inherited this sort of thing. This was something that like the superintendent or Emery could put on or talk to the chair about putting on the agenda. And so I'm just marking it for us to think about when we have that harmonization conversation about, do we need to vote to refer in this matter, or would this have made it another way, you know? Because there's multiple paths to do this. And just marking it to think through when we go through that other discussion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call on referring, please.
Okay, Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Reese?
Yes.
Member Jewell?
Yes.
Member Saina Sullivan?
Yes.
Ms. Shara?
Yes.
Member Bartley?
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund?
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclo?
Yes.
And Member Stein?
Yes.
Okay. That passes. Next, our meal charges review. Is this another?
So these are for the annual calendar.
Yes,
These
annual review. Okay.
these three.
Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
Yep. And at this time, there are no increases. And at this time, we're also still receiving free meals throughout the district and throughout the state. So at this time, there are no increases, but exactly this normally would sit on the agenda just in case if we went back to the old way of food service. Then if there was an increase to any of the fees, then we would bring them at this time. So I did meet with the food service director. There are no increases to any of the additional meals if someone decided to get a second meal, or any of the other foods that they can purchase, or for staffing meals. And normally, she would bring that to the committee if there was any increases, but there aren't any for this year. And we're all still receiving free meals, so.
Great, thank you. Member Bartley.
If we were to find ourselves in a position where we did not have free meals, would we then need to make a really high jump in our meal costs? I'm thinking, if this is in here in the event of, does not changing it now make a possible difference?
No, she said she uses it's a paid equity, actually a paid lunch equity tool that is provided by the USDA in the state to make sure that we're always on target with our meals and what we're charging. We have to stay within the guidelines. And right now, we are still within the guidelines. And so, which is wonderful, because she's still making it very affordable for anybody wanting a second meal or for the staff. And so she monitors that regularly. So that was why when we met, that was one of my first meetings on my first week, was meeting with the director. And like I said, she's done an excellent job, and she really monitors this closely, 'cause she wants our kids to be able to receive the best.
Thank you.
Thanks. Member Stein?
Yeah, and just to add to that, when we add in these other revolving accounts and items, you'll be able to see sort of where we're tracking. The last that we, I think, saw the cafeteria revolving account, I think it had over $1 million in it, partially because when the state started, the federal government and then the state started to fund these elements. So we shouldn't run into an issue where not adjusting a charge here is going to put us in any sort of financial difficulty with lunch or breakfast.
Okay, If there's no further discussion, there's no action, so we'll move on. Thank you for that. Okay, and Northampton Public Schools Code of Conduct Review. This is asking for a vote. Superintendent Ezra-Loza.
Thank you. You'll notice that anything that is highlighted is added to the code of conduct. So we did add the cell phone policy. We also added actually the procedures for the cell phone policy, and we also added the restraint and seclusion policy that was approved. That portion towards the end was not highlighted, but it is the new approved restraint and seclusion policy.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve the code of conduct?
I move we approve the code of conduct.
Second.
Motion's made by Member Martin, seconded by Member Montgomery Tomaclo. Discussion. Yes, Member Martin.
Just a question, if we pass relevant policies during the school year that would impact this, like for instance, an AI policy, this is just a process question, like can we do that in the middle of the year and update this? Does that come back to school committee or does it wait till next year?
Either way.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Member Mahoney,
Yes.
Member Reese,
Yes.
Member Jewell,
Yep, yes.
Member Saina Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Shara,
Yes.
Member Bartley,
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund,
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclo,
Yes.
Member Stein stepped out, so do we just say
Not present.
absent?
Yeah.
Member Martin,
Yes.
okay, motion passes.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to F, which is section 14 of the rules of procedure, clarifying contingency
I'd like
meeting.
to ask for recess, please.
Okay, we'll do 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Just want to clarify, who will now be changing the yellow highlights? Is that Superintendent Azaloza or is it someone
Okay, we are back from recess. Okay, we are back from recess. Thank you. And as I was saying, where was I? Okay, so this is section 14 of Rules of Procedure, clarifying contingency meeting and clarifying the contingency meeting process. And Member Bartley.
Thank you, Mayor Chiara. I'm just opening up my Zoom account on my phone so that I can still be seen.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, I gotta mute now. Okay, so that one's just gonna stay on. Okay. So in March of 2026, we held a retreat, and one of the items that had a lot of attention from many different members who wanted to share input on our rules of procedure was section 14, and that's the section that governs the meetings. Anthony, could you bring up the slide from Tracy Novik's presentation, please? I emailed it to you. It's in the PowerPoint attachment.
Sure.
Yeah, the slide is section 14. So this agenda item has two parts, and the first part is looking at section 14, seeing where we have made the changes that members wanted to be introduced in that section and where we haven't, and then giving folks the opportunity to make motions to change as they feel may or may not be appropriate to the rules. Then we found, as we were reviewing section 14, that there's an issue with section 1410, and I'll have Mr. Morgan speak to that later, but it appears that our former clerk entered it where it didn't need to be, so we need to make a change on that. And then finally, there's been some discussion of how to handle meeting disruptions, and so I will offer a rule that City Council uses that we may choose to incorporate into our rules of procedure vis-a-vis meetings. Second to that, over the past 7 months, we've developed the habit of having a contingency meeting, and one of the reasons for that is because we have a habit of going past our scheduled time. And part of the reason that the process unfolded so awkwardly is because Mayor Chiara and I have disagreed as to whether or not it's appropriate to have a second meeting. so this will be an opportunity for the body to share their input on a second meeting, whether or not they want one, what it might look like, and we'll just take an opportunity to get feedback from everyone, and then I'll come back next month with a possible approach for us to vote on. In addition, we do need to vote on a contingency meeting for this month in the event that this meeting does run over. So that's kind of an outline of what I'll be talking about. But I'm going to start by looking at section 14, so I'm going to stand up now.
Oh, they're not going to be able to hear you.
If I shout, can you hear me on Zoom?
Yes.
Great, okay. So the length of meetings raise concerns. At the present moment, our meetings typically begin at 6:30 and are scheduled to end at 9:30. At the end of each, at 9:30, if we find that we still have business to do, we have the option to suspend the rules and make the meeting longer. If we lose a quorum, then we need to schedule a second meeting to continue with our business. This is not one that we can really address through rules. It's something that needs to be addressed through our practices. And one of the things that we have done with Superintendent Azarloza as an agenda setting meeting is really work on providing information up front so that all of you can receive information and have your questions ready and we're all more prepared for doing business together. So already today, Already today, we're seeing a much more efficient conducting of business, which is great. So I think there's is there anyone who would like to make a motion around length of meetings, or who has anything that they would like to change within the rules vis-a-vis the length of meetings? I'm going to ask the mayor to call on members.
Okay, so you are asking, okay, if there's someone who would like to address length of meeting.
Length of meeting time and how we might make an amendment to the rules.
Okay, Member Reese.
So I agree that, I want to have a lot of time for discussion, and I want to make sure that we have plenty of time for public comment as well. But as we've discussed many times, after a certain hour, everybody gets pretty depleted and non-functional, and it's also really challenging for those of us with young kids at home or other responsibilities that they need to attend to. So I really like the idea of having a start time of 5:30. If that works for a lot of folks, I think that could really help us not stay into the wee hours.
Thank you, Member Reese. So I'm going to get to that item in just a moment, but thank you for raising that.
Okay. Member Stein and then Member Mahoney.
I'm just a little confused about the process here because I see on the screen sort of a number of topics, but I don't see the specific rules. And I thought you were saying that you wanted to get feedback today to bring back things next time, but I don't know, it's hard to think about what the actual rules say and propose an amendment and map all this stuff in an open meeting without having had this before the meeting. So are you looking for suggestions that you'll then come back with recommendations, or do you want us to, how do you want us to do this?
Yeah. So this particular section, I'm going to go through item by item and share, for example, times on agendas was a request that members had, and we've implemented that as an agenda setting committee, so this is no longer relevant. I think perhaps Member Reese might want to offer a motion to change our start time to 5:30. So I'm just going to go through point by point and see, to what extent do we want to address these. Then we'll look at the rules. But the starting point is here. The feedback I'm going to ask for is around having a second meeting. And again, you'll see that's here. Where is it? A second meeting is right here, but we'll have that conversation later because I think it's a bigger conversation than fits within this. This is really my attempt to address the unfinished business that Tracy Novick presented at our March retreat.
So you're saying if we vote on a motion to do one of these things, then we'll still have to amend the...
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, thank you.
Could I also just give my...
Yeah.
So I think what's tricky is that it's difficult to separate the 2 meetings per month from the thing above, right? So, I mean, from the beginning, I did not think us meeting from 6:30 to 9:30 was going to be enough, and that we either had to have 2 meetings or have longer meetings. Especially in the spring, I'll be teaching, and my class will not be out in time for me to get here by 5:30 on Thursdays. The times on the agenda have been rather frustrating because they never seem to be accurate estimates, where things are obviously going to require deliberation, and it will say like 5 minutes, and you're like, we won't even get out the topic before that's over. And so I guess from my perspective, I think we either need to have longer meetings or we need to have 2 meetings per month. And I definitely do not want to limit public comment from where we have it. But the other thing I do worry about, especially with the way things have played out, is not getting to executive session, right? So it's like, we've hit 9:30, meeting's over, and we've never gone to executive session, and then we let things go that we have to vote on and take action on. So I don't know if we need to move that up, but then that's super awkward when people are here at the beginning of the meeting and we go into executive session and we're gone for an hour and then people don't know when to tune back in. Like, that doesn't seem like a good solution either.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to go through these one by one and let's address them. And I do understand it's difficult to separate the 2 meetings out from the rest of the conversation. I had that same struggle when I was organizing this presentation. But I think the approach that I'm going to take, I mean, as I've thought about it, will maybe be efficient enough to address this. So are there any other comments around this question of length of meetings and possible?
Member Mahoney is waiting. Yeah, go ahead, Member Mahoney.
Okay, thank you. And yes, I agree that the length of meetings after 4 hours, I believe it's difficult for any of us to focus clearly. And also many of us, as Member Reese pointed out, have to get up early for work and our childcare responsibilities, including community members and our teaching staff. And yes, a 5:30 start time would be helpful, perhaps we could have the Student Advisory Council begin at 5:30. And then I do have comments about the executive session, but should I hold those, Member Bartoli?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Any other response to this item?
So this is just length of meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, Member Martin and
Yeah, just briefly, I agree. We pack a lot in our agendas, and we need this, as has been mentioned, open meeting law constraints when and where we can have conversations, and we need the time. I also think for myself, late at the night, I'm not bringing my best, so I would like a solution other than longer meetings.
Thank you.
Member Sanders-Sullivan and Member Weisenford.
Yeah, I ask around all the time when I meet people who are on school committees or anybody who has experience with these meetings, and people consistently say our meetings are 2.5, maybe 3 hours across the board. So I want to look at why us? Why are we doing this? What is it about our meetings that keeps us here into the wee hours of the morning? Because I agree, it's not good for anybody. It's not good for decision making. It's not good for the people that want to find information in real time. I would consider 2 meetings a month, but those meetings would have to be, get our work done, because I don't want to end up at 2 long meetings a month.
Thank you.
Member Weisenford.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings about this. I think, we've recently held a lot of meetings at times when people who are working full-time jobs cannot come, and I don't think that's fair either. So I'm not in favor of a 5:30 start time. I think that's not going to be doable for people who are working full-time and taking on the responsibility of being a school committee member. I think we have a lot of work to do, and I think we have a lot of business. And, while, listen, today it was different because there just wasn't a lot of public comment, right? And that's 90 minutes. Public comment is really important. We need the time. The public needs the time. We need the time. Yes, we get tired. Yes, we have terrible chairs, right? Yes, our bodies hurt. I think that, and I think, one can fix chairs, right? That's not a huge problem necessarily. But I think if we go to it, we have a lot of meetings, and then subcommittee meetings and liaison assignments. And, I think that if we're going to go to a 2-meeting model, then we need to look at equity across the city. And, our contract, right, what's expected of us was 1 meeting a month, plus subcommittee assignments, plus liaison activity. If we go to 2 meetings a month, then we're a little bit more on the city council schedule.
Anyone who hasn't spoken on this topic? I will agree that I've been at lots of conferences, talked to lots of school committee members, and I've heard of no other committee that has meetings as long as our committee. So it would be great if we could figure out how to not make them so long. And I guess I'll talk about 2 meetings a month when we get there. Member Stein.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we have a pretty good idea about why our meetings are so long, at least in my experience. And I just want to put some of those ideas out there for consideration. And one is that we have a pretty active community, and we've had to tackle a number of pretty difficult topics that have a lot of public concern, right? And require a lot of deliberation. The other thing is we've had a lot of crises, and we've had a lot of legal issues, and we've had a lot of investigations, and we've had a lot of everything, and that requires us to make a lot of decisions together, either publicly or in executive session. We've had to hire like 3 superintendents since I've been here. There's a lot of work when the district is in crisis, and there's a lot of difficulty when you're going through a pandemic. There's a lot of difficulty when you're going through all sorts of things that have been happening. So we have a pretty robust democratic community, and all that work gets caught here. And we do it. I do think there are things that could speed things up, right? I do appreciate having information, people reading it and coming prepared. Like, we had a great meeting yesterday. There was a ton of information that we got ahead of time. My colleagues read that information. We were ready to go. And we went through things very quickly without violating open meeting law, right? Because there was more communication from the superintendent. I think that's a helpful thing. So yeah, there are things we can do, but there's a limit to how much we can get done when there's so many problems in front of us that require us to take action and to deliberate. So I don't think it's a mystery why we have longer meetings. I think we have a lot of good reasons why.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Do you have everything you need?
I do, thank you.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next item. So I've heard mixed response to a start time of 5:30, and so what I would like to do is to ask the mayor to invite in a very specific motion around a start time that folks would like or would not like to see, discuss it, and then vote on it. So I'm going to hand it back to you.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, so is there a motion to change the start time to 5:30? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, a motion to, if the motion
And
is
people can vote or not.
change the start time to 5:30 and have student SAC start at 5:30, that would be part of that motion. Or
So
there
SAC
might-
is not every month, so.
Right, exactly, yeah. I mean, so, but whoever comes forward with that motion, if you could please be very specific so that we can be clear on the change that would be made.
I'm not sure if I'm out of line here. I'm not ready to make that motion, but why can't we cut it down the middle and try 6 as opposed to?
If you'd like to make that motion, please. That way, I think this
Okay.
is.
I'll make a motion to begin meetings at 6 PM and SAC at 6.
At 5:30 on the ones that
5:30
we have.
and main meeting at 6.
Is there?
Second.
Can't see, okay, that was Member Mahoney. Who was the second? Okay, so motion was made by Member Sanders Sullivan to change the start time to 6, and on the months that there's the Student Advisory Council, to have Student Advisory Council start at 5:30, all right? Seconded by Member Mahoney.
Member, sorry.
Right, yeah, okay. And did the motion maker, do you want to speak to that decision, or self-explanatory?
Had a few people say they can't make it because of work commitments, and so 6 seems like the next logical step to take.
Okay. Member Stein.
Yeah, I mean, my question is sort of, do we know if student activities are done and they can get here before 5:30? Like, I have no idea what their schedule are. Many of our student representatives are extremely active in a variety of things. I don't know the high school after-school schedule. Could they do 5:30?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either. They may end up appreciating it, but yeah, it depends on what they're involved in.
Okay. Member Jewell.
Member Montgomery
Yeah.
Close had her hand raised for a long time.
Okay, so it's, I mean, I saw them both go up. I was going to go to Member Jewell, and then I was going to go to Member Montgomery Tomko, and then I was going to go to Member Mahoney.
I had the same question as Member Stein, and want to just, I don't feel comfortable voting on something without the input of Student Advisory Committee, Council, whatever. So.
Okay, thank you. Member Montgomery Tomko?
I have a question. If we start at 6, are we still ending at 9:30? Or are we trying to move it up 30 minutes?
I believe the motion was just for the start time, so it would still be to 9:30.
So we would go from, so
6
we
to
would add
9:30.
an extra half hour to our meeting on the assumption that the students can come at 5:30 when they do come, but, okay, thank you.
Okay, Member Mahoney, and then, yeah, Member Mahoney.
I would just raise the point that some of our subcommittee meetings do begin at 5, and it is difficult to understand a high schooler's schedule at any time. You know, basketball practice can start at 7 p.m., play practice starts at 7 p.m. You know, we don't know the specifics of high schoolers' schedules, so 5:30 may work better. It's true, they may be getting home from a cross-country match late, but there are more than one SAC representatives. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks. It's true, during the musical, I think there have been times when rehearsal has been at the same time as our normal meeting time, and it's been hard. So maybe earlier would be better. I'm sorry, Member Bartley, was your hand raised?
My hand was raised, and I just wanted to, I think if there's the option of going forward with a vote to this motion, or perhaps the option of tabling it to next month, and I want to just put those out there as things for the committee to consider on this particular topic.
Okay. Okay, anyone who hasn't spoken? Member Stein.
I mean, I think what's really difficult here is and I don't think there's any good way to order this. I think it's one big conversation, but like, if we decide later to go to 2 meetings per month, it might really change how people feel about the start time or end time of those 2 meetings, or how they're structured. So I don't know, it just feels difficult to have this conversation as we're going to take a motion on this one thing, then we're going to go to the next thing. It's a conversation about like, how often are we going to meet? How much time can we dedicate? When's it going to start? And it seems like the 2 meetings per month decision would drive a lot of these other decisions. But, so like, I may want to vote for this current motion thinking that we're only going to still have 1 meeting. And I might want to offer an amendment to this motion that extends it or does something else with the time. But unless I know we're going to meet twice a month, because then I'm not going to make that amendment, or I'll vote a different way. So I just don't know how to operate in the way that we're sort of going.
I think that, oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Member Bartoli.
I think that's really valuable feedback, and may impact how I vote. But then ultimately, because there will be the opportunity for people to share their specific thoughts on a contingency meeting, I could take that into account when I prepare something for next month. This is really the first, an attempt to be change some rules and be a first check-in around that issue. And I apologize, it's a little messy. I've had a hard time figuring out how to think about this.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to Member Reese.
So I think it's fair to think about tabling this before we can talk to SAC. And I think Member Mahoney makes a great point. Schedules are all over the place, and there's many more than one of them. So I think it could probably work out or not work out either way. But I would love to get their feedback on this before deciding it. But I do think 6 is a great goal. But I guess I would want their feedback first.
Okay. Member Montgomery-Thomas?
So based on what you said, Member Bartoli, if we vote for 6 tonight, that doesn't mean the next meeting will start at 6. You're going to take all of these recommendations back and come up with a plan.
No, I had originally, a vote would mean that we change the meeting time to 6. Okay. That had been my original intention, but I hear Member Stein's concern, and I think it's really valid, and that will impact my vote.
Okay, I'm going to go to Member Mahoney, and then let's move to trying to resolve this part. Go ahead, Member Mahoney.
I think the point about a second meeting is a good one, and I'm wondering if we could always make that a contingency meeting. So set aside, the 4th Thursday would be our contingency meeting, and if we didn't need it, then it would be like having a study hall, would have the night off.
Okay, so how do we want to proceed? Do we want to vote on the motion on the floor, or do we want to withdraw the motion? You can postpone to a date certain, or withdraw are really I'd say the best options. Or just vote. But let's do something.
So are you asking the person who made the
Yes.
motion what he wants to do? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't want to, if you want us to just vote, we can.
I would love to vote.
Okay, great.
I think it's respectful. And I would don't to do it.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's practical.
So then is that a tabling it? Is that the other option that
You would want to postpone. Tabling it sort of kills it.
Okay, so
postponing it would be. Sure. So you want to?
I'll amend my motion. And
is everyone in agreement on amending this motion? I think if we all agree, no one's opposed to amending this. No. Okay, go ahead.
So I'll amend it to wait until our next meeting to consider a start time of 6 PM.
Okay. So that is now the motion to check in with Student Advisory Council and have this on the next agenda. Yeah?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Did anybody second that?
I did.
Well, it
No
had been
worries.
seconded.
But it didn't need it, I guess.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Member Stein?
Yes.
Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Rees?
Yes.
Member Jewell?
Yes.
Member Saina Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Chiara?
Yes.
Member Bartley?
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund?
Yes.
And Member Montgomery Tamaco?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay?
great.
Okay, so back to this PowerPoint. There'd been a motion passes, sorry, Mr. Morgan. I want to get through this. Times on the agenda. We've been asked to put times on the agenda. We have started that practice. I recognize that it's only in this meeting and on our July 29th meeting that I feel we've really effectively stuck to those times. I think what I'd like agenda setting as a committee to do is figure out a process by which we're keeping track and able to hold the times to more or less to where they are. And I think that's something for us to work on. I'm going to move, if anyone has any thoughts or input on this that they'd like to share quickly, Mayor Chiara, if you would like to take those questions or comments.
I don't see any.
Okay, great. So take procedural votes early in the agenda. This is something that, again, came out of Tracy Novick's poll of the committee, and I'd like to open this up for the committee to share their thoughts on this particular item and how it could or could not be better addressed. We did make a change to the agenda this month in that we put the reports before new business, which is one of the attempts to work through these things a little bit more quickly. But if anyone would like to speak, I'm going to ask Mayor Chiara to call on them.
Anyone have any thoughts? So on reordering the agenda?
Taking procedural votes early in agenda.
Okay, yeah, Member Sanders.
Is it fair to ask Superintendent Azarloza what her experience has been in meetings and what has worked?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you care to weigh in on that?
Yeah.
Sure, thank you. So when we were meeting for agenda setting, I did notice that the reports were after new business, and typically the reports are at the beginning, right after you approve the minutes, and we did move that up. And so we did make that change, and actually we noticed that it was actually part of our policy to have those reports at the beginning following the approval of the minutes. So I would say keep those, especially because in my reports to the superintendent, I may be calling on voices from the field, whether it be caregivers or our educators to be part of those reports to the superintendent. It would be nice to keep it at the front end of the agenda so that they don't stay for the 3-hour meeting. But I have no opinion as in terms of the procedural votes.
Okay. Member Stein.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you could explain more about which items on the agenda would be procedural votes, right? So are we talking about everything in new business? Are we talking about, because right now we have the recommended actions, that comes really early, reports and what's in that bucket of procedural votes?
I'm going to open this up to the body because I'm simply looking from this PowerPoint and I'm not sure whose feedback this comment was based on. It wasn't mine.
So that came from the March.
That came from the March retreat when our field director asked us to submit changes that we'd like to see to the rules.
Okay. Anyone want to own that?
Can tell you what AI says.
Yikes.
It's a starting point.
So, Member Martin?
I don't
remember saying that, but I do, I think agenda setting is an art, and, I'm looking at our agenda tonight. In general, I think, it sounds like we're a little constrained in the order, as you were mentioning, like some things have to come in some order per our rules.
We have a policy that could be amended.
Okay, so, in general, doing things that, are of great concern to our community and need more time and consideration, I would ask that those are earlier in the evening when we're fresher, when it's easier for the public to participate potentially and hear as well. That's my only thought.
I'll just quickly note, so we, according to our rules, I can move things around on the agenda unless there's an objection, and as you'll know, as you will have experienced, I do that often based on if there are people from outside who are here to speak to us. Member Stein.
Oh, sorry, my hand was up from before. It was the question about, my apologies.
Okay. Okay. So does anyone want to talk about the order of the agenda further? I mean, I do think we've been talking about how to work, we've been thinking about different tweaks or how to structure it in a way that maybe it flows better, but that, we get to the people who are with us as guests earlier. So is it okay if we'll continue working on that and we'll bring to you any changes? How's that sound? Super. Okay.
Okay. On to public comment. So some of the suggestions that were given to Tracy Novick were changing the length of public comment to 30 or 75 minutes by adjusting public comment to 2 minutes per speaker for if with an interpreter or is needed. I think this is something that City Council does as well. I personally have noted that we don't typically meet our 90-minute allotment, so I don't necessarily see this as something that needs to be changed, so I would like to open this up to the body for comments or motions around those changes.
Okay, we've already heard some comments on it. Member Reese.
I agree that this wouldn't substantially change our meeting times and it could potentially constrain the public's ability to comment. So I don't think this is the place where we nip and tuck.
Okay. Anyone else like to comment on this? Member Weisenfried.
Yeah, I feel very strongly that we should make no changes to public comment. I think, we're working on community engagement. We're working where we need to hear what people have to say. I think that any change we make to limit that is really against the spirit of what needs to happen in our town.
Okay. Any further discussion? Nope, don't see any.
Okay, 2 meetings per month. I'm going to postpone this to when we discuss the contingency meeting, since there'll be space for that. Executive sessions separately or at 9 p.m. I'm going to ask, I'm not sure whose feedback this was, but if someone would like to speak to this or make a motion around this, that would be great.
Anyone remember advocating for this in March?
Oh, I don't remember, but I can talk to it.
Okay, please.
I think that one of the things that we often run into is running out of time for executive.
Oh,
sorry, is running out of time for executive session. And the question is, where do we put it? Do we put it at the beginning when we have people here? That seems like awkward that we're in the library and we have people here. Do we take a break? Even if we take a break at 9, we still have people here and we have to go into the library. Or do we dedicate like a specific 1 hour a month? This is our executive session, go through everything. I don't know, but I think that that is often the thing that gets the least attention from us, based on timing and just where we are in our schedule and where our brains are at the time. And so I think that whatever we decide, we need to change how we do executive session, because I don't really think we're doing it justice. We're especially not doing it justice when we have Layla waiting until 11:30, or we have somebody else who needs to come who's waiting until that time. But it's one of those things that I think it's going to roll into probably the 2 meetings per month. I think that would, whatever that looks like, that would probably be our best way to deal with it.
I will agree that it's not ideal to keep attorneys waiting until midnight.
Costly.
Yes, Member Sanders.
So if we dedicated, a 1 hour meeting on just 2 executive session issues that would be virtual, and I kind of like that idea.
Me too.
No.
Member Mahoney.
Yes, I would like to echo what Member Montgomery Tomaclo said and Member Shaner Sullivan, and that if we had a dedicated executive session as our 4th Thursday, and then if we had any unfinished business, we could add that, but we could start, the executive session on the 4th Thursday to accomplish that. Thank you.
Member Stein?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to consider, and I know it's so hard because we don't know if we're going to do the 2 meetings, like to Member Mahoney's point, but if we did have more meetings, we could have shorter executive sessions, and you can act on things with more timeliness in that case. So it could reduce the amount of executive session time at any one meeting, but would allow us to sort of be a little bit more flexible. If we know we're going to meet in 2 weeks, we can, if you postpone this, it's not such a big deal, but if you still pass that, it's great. I'm just trying to think through the implications. So I don't even know if we went to 2 meetings, if I'd want to leave it at just 1 meeting has executive session. You could have it at both. I don't know if we want to start with executive session so people know to show up a little later. We're starting with executive session. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I would guess that even if we had one set aside that was just for executive session, we would end up tacking on agenda items to it, undoubtedly. Okay. Member Reese.
So I think that this is sort of what I'm hearing and thinking is that if we just always have that second contingency meeting, we could either use it just for executive session or for executive session and the carryover. And I think that would make a lot of sense. And then it's predictable too.
Okay. I was waiting until we got to 2 meetings per month, but it all seems to be this discussion. So I'm just gonna. So my problem, I have meetings every other Thursday, and the superintendent and I sit on 2 school committees, and I sit on many other boards and committees, and so I don't have a lot of additional time to do a whole nother full meeting. And since people know that the last Thursday of the month is the only Thursday that I have free, often that gets filled with other things as well. So it will be hard. It will be hard for me to build in a standing additional second evening meeting because I have a lot of other evening meetings as well. Yes, Member Sanders.
I can appreciate that. I'm just making sure, does that also include a dedicated executive session?
I mean, a meeting's a meeting.
A meeting's a meeting.
I understand the need. It's just that is a real, that's a challenge. Yes, Member Fenn.
Yeah, I think, we're taking a lot of time right now to talk really about what would make it more comfortable for us to do our jobs, right? And I think that, as Member Stein has pointed out, we've been through a period of a lot of crisis. We're still in crisis. We haven't resolved it. There's still investigations and so forth. And I think the reality is that this takes a lot of time. And I know that having a long meeting is very hard, but I think we have a lot of meetings with the subcommittees and with liaison meetings and with our work. And when we were elected to join, that was kind of the deal. You have one meeting a month, and then you have subcommittee meetings, then you have other meetings. And that was the framework that was outlined. And so I have a little bit of trouble with this, right? I also, I'm very busy, and I would rather sit here, and bring snacks and bring drinks and take breaks and figure out how to better do the agenda and have a longer meeting instead of having 2 meetings. So, and I also think I don't really want to. I feel a little bit funny taking so much time talking about how to make our jobs more comfortable for us, because this is a hard job. This is a hard job. Takes a lot of resources. That's what we signed up for.
What I wanted to mention was that I know that our meeting last night for budget and property, I thought was, to your point, Member Stein, highly efficient. We had our curriculum meeting the week before, which was also highly efficient. I think the background and rationale is helping not only school committee members, but also our community to really know the context of the agenda items. And speaking with some people here tonight, the portions that we've gone through have been also very efficient. And so I'm wondering if moving forward, we may not only need one meeting and it might end at 9:30 because of the fact that we're becoming a bit more efficient with those. So it might be moot, is what I'm saying, for us to discuss this, but just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like that's my hope, is that we are moving towards having less long meetings. Member Stein, is your hand up anew?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, to all of these points, from the beginning, I thought we either needed 2 meetings or we need to keep the longer meeting. The longer meeting has been terrible, but the reason why we've had it for so long is because it's less painful for everyone than trying to schedule 2 meetings because the demands on the mayor and the demands on everyone else. Like, it just became the thing. And it's not that it's a better option, it was just like the most practical option, right? Because they're all uncomfortable. But even tonight, where we've moved through most of the agenda very quickly, it's 8:54. We still have a lot scheduled. We're supposed to end at 9:30. We're supposed to have an executive session. There's a whole other topic that's going to take up a lot of time. So, like, we can only get so efficient, right? Because we can't talk about this stuff outside of open meeting. For certain things where you can get a brief, and it's fine, but when we have to actually negotiate with one another, or really air the situation to decide what to do, it's going to take time. And I would also prefer just to stick with the longer meeting, even though I have to get up and bring kids to school and go to work. But I don't know. Or we do the 2 meetings. But I think we're just going to keep going too late, stopping with a bunch of work left, either by law having to do it really quickly when no one can come, or have the second meeting. Like, I don't know what else we can do.
Okay, Member Montgomery Tomaco.
So I'm a fan of 2 meetings, but I also do want to point out the fact that what does it look like that we have 2 meetings scheduled for school committee? City council has 2 meetings, they get paid for 2 meetings, we get paid for 1. You have a body of 90% women, and you're paying them for 1 meeting, but you're having 2, and you're doing the same amount of work. What kind of position does that put you in, to put us in the city for equity and parity, and how does that look? Saying, like, we're doing all this work, but you're still getting paid for 1 meeting. So, like, that is, like, not a good look to me. And it's like, no one's in this for the money, of course not. But, like, if you're gonna go 2 standing meetings, and then you have one body that has 2 standing meetings, and they have 1 pay scale, and then you have another one that has 2 standing meetings, and they have another pay scale, that does not sound legal to me.
I'm not sure it's a legal issue because those salaries are set by, or the stipends are salary stipends set by ordinance by the city council, but I take your point. Member Sanders-Sullivan.
Yeah, I just want to stop for a minute and thank Member Bartoli for taking this on. This is important to many of us, and I don't want to just throw my hands up and say, we're just going to keep doing things the way we've been doing them. I do think that some of the changes that have been made with more information up front I know it's super helpful for me. And we'll see how things play out. We'll see if we can start at 6, maybe get an answer on that. It's hard for me to say this, but what I see as, when I talk about efficiency in meetings, the biggest thing I'm talking about is members being judicious with their words. I think that most of us are. We think before we raise our hand. And we try to say what we want to say in as concise a way as possible. And
make sure it's adding something new or asking a new question. And I just want that to always be, it is always in the back of my head, and I would hope that all of us exercise that.
Okay. Okay, so it sounds like we're not taking any, unless someone wants to make a motion, we're not taking a vote?
Not on the executive session, which is where we are right now.
Say again?
The item that we were on was executive session, but it went a little bit off subject.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one, or if any further comment?
The next one being
Is the
Student
SAC
Advisory Council.
Yeah, Student Advisory Council. And sorry, I do want to say my thoughts on executive session. I do like the idea of doing executive session separately and giving it a little bit more just presence. But that's just my opinion. The SAC meeting at or before, and I think specifically this was having a SAC meeting and then having a student representative report felt redundant to some members, if I'm not mistaken. So same thing, I just want to open this up for conversation and get some feedback on this one.
Anyone have thoughts?
Can you clarify?
My understanding was that some members felt that it was redundant to have a SAC meeting, and then on the meetings that we have SAC meetings, to have SAC meetings and then have a student representative report in that same meeting. And I think that's what the concern that is being addressed in this item. If anyone wants to speak to that, I think now's the time to do so.
Could we just clarify what our rhythm is for the SAC, meeting and then the SAC report for folks who don't know? And frankly, that includes me at this point.
So every other month, we start a half an hour early, and the Student Advisory Council gives a report.
And every month we have
up pretty far up on the agenda. We've now moved it before public comment so that they can go do other things. The students can go do other things. They give a report. And so I think sometimes there's overlap between the two. There's often overlap between the presentation that we got for half an hour and then the report that they give. I thought I saw a hand. Member Mahoney.
Yes, I agree. It does seem like the information is valuable, and I appreciate the time that the Student Advisory Council puts into their presentation, that 30-minute presentation. But from my perspective, if they do that 30-minute presentation, I don't think then a review of that presentation during the school committee meeting is helpful, or is necessary. So I think perhaps we could, on the nights when the Student Advisory Council is doing their 30-minute meeting, we would not need to have that as an agenda item.
Okay, I think, and they're not always exactly the same. I think sometimes there's, again, overlap. Maybe we could ask them to roll them into that half hour and do the whole thing during the half hour if there are two different things that they want to present. That's just an idea. Member Weisenfreud and then Member Martin.
I think we need to remember that the chairperson of the SAC is an ex officio non-voting member of the school committee. And so I don't feel comfortable taking any votes about this without involving them. So I would like to vote to table this discussion and have it with the SAC chairperson. I'd like to make that motion.
To clarify, you're making a motion to table the discussion of the SAC meeting and its timing?
Correct. I think
Postpone it until
we can have, I think we don't treat the chairperson of the SAC as a member of the school committee, but they are by law an ex officio non-voting member of the school committee. And I mean, that's a whole other thing that we had talked about. I think they should be invited to attend meetings as a non-voting member. But I think that we should not be voting on anything having to do with the structure of what they're going to be talking about without consulting with the chairperson of the SAC.
Second.
Okay, motion's made by Member Weisenfreud, seconded by Member Stein. Member Reese.
I guess I'm confused because didn't we already agree to do that?
That was with regard to 5:30 or 6 p.m. start time, member Reese?
And so this is,
This is very specifically whether we were the possibility of eliminating redundancy in student presentations.
got it, okay.
Oh, yes, sorry, Member Martin.
Yeah, could we roll those two things together, whether it's with the chair or the whole SAC? I'd actually be frankly interested in what they all think about how they can most effectively participate here in terms of timing and in terms of the structure that we currently have. Maybe they would have other ideas altogether about how to do that, but I would really like to hear that from them.
So I don't entirely remember the motion wording, but
To table
would
it
it make?
until
so
we can talk to the chairperson.
Postpone it, not to table it, because that would kill
postpone
it. So to postpone it, and is it to the first SAC meeting? When they would then be here?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Jewell.
Yes.
Member Saina Sullivan.
Yes.
Mayor Shara.
Yes.
Member Bartley.
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund.
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclow.
Yes.
Member Stein.
Yes.
Member Martin.
Yes.
Member Mahoney.
Yes.
Member Reese.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. If I remember correctly, that's often not the September meeting. It's usually, I think, the October meeting. Okay.
The next item is equal speaking time of members, and I'm going to open that up for discussion and the possibility of a motion.
Could you explain?
Again, I didn't, this is not one of my,
This is a note from.
this is a note, so, whoever had this concern, I'm going to invite in
Okay.
further thoughts and commentary.
Member Stein.
Yeah, just sort of succinctly on this, I'm concerned with the idea of equal speaking time because depending on various points, certain members have more to say than others. They might have more knowledge, they might have more perspective or feel more strongly about it. Even tonight, if we look at these, different people spoke multiple times, and we're a small enough body where we don't need to impose that. And I appreciate the earlier point regarding sort of things being concise, but when I think about efficiency and I think about the last half hour, I see a lot of really well-meaning people trying to grapple with a process that has been hard for us to figure out how to make efficient, and one that could have really benefited from more sustained conversation and facilitation at our recent retreat. So I don't know why, I don't think our problem is that people are speaking too much. I don't see evidence of that in our deliberations, and I see a lot of downside to saying everyone has to equally speak. Are we going to force each other to speak when we don't want to? Like, I don't know what that even means.
Can I have a point of privilege? Is there anything to do about the temperature in here? It's super hot.
I think we tried.
I texted and I have not heard back.
I wonder if
Thank
it's a
you for
summertime
texting.
thing, everything just, you know.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, on this topic, any further discussion? Anyone else want to share thoughts? No? Okay.
Okay, and then the last topic is adjourn at 9:30, which is, and I think very specific, adjourn at 9:30 or 10 or 11. I think this was, again, not one that I proposed, so if someone would like to speak to specifically what this item is about, I'm going to invite that and invite the mayor to.
Sure. I mean, I could speak, it had been 11. If you don't make it to 11, you adjourn when you're done, or you suspend rules after 11. I think we spend a lot of time taking votes on suspending rules. that just makes the meeting longer. So that is my opinion. No, it's not universally popular. Member Stein.
Yeah, I share that same opinion. And I'd actually make a motion to postpone this question until we have the conversation about 1 or 2 meetings, because it seems like we'll land somewhere depending on that.
Second.
Motion to postpone is made by Member Stein, seconded by Member Sainer Sullivan. Any further discussion? Member Weisenfeld?
I agree with the mayor. I have the same perspective. I think we should go till 11 o'clock, and I think we should try our new processes for efficiencies, and hopefully end by 11 or before, and not have need for a second meeting, and then have executive session separately. That's how I would prefer to proceed, but I will vote yes for this.
To postpone.
To postpone.
Okay. Any further discussion to the motion? Okay, roll call, please.
Member Sainer Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Chiara?
Yes.
Member Bartley?
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund?
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclo?
Yes.
Member Stein?
Yes.
Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Reese?
Yes.
And Member Jewell.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay.
Great. So what I think, thank you all for that. I think what I'm going to do now is move this around. So there were 2 very specific sections in the rules of procedure that needed to be addressed. But I want to jump ahead to a conversation now about a contingency meeting specifically focused on 2 meetings. And to keep the conversation short, what I've asked Mayor Chiara to do is just through the roll call, go through member by member. And the question I'm going to pose to you, having already gotten a lot of feedback out on the floor, the question I'm going to pose to you, and then I will take these answers and try to integrate them into a couple different plans that we can vote on next month, are, if you had your way, what would our meeting schedule look like? If you had your way, what would our meeting schedule look like?
Before I put it out to people, so that means like start time, end time, length of time?
I'm going to let you decide that.
Number of times?
Each individual share.
Okay, everyone
Yeah.
can free associate their feelings. with
Exactly,
this.
yeah.
Got it. Okay. I'm gonna, may I borrow this for a moment? I'll start with myself. I think I've been pretty clear. So 2 meetings is very hard for me. Start time, I'm flexible, as this is my full-time job. So that, whatever works for other people is fine by me. End time I just spoke about, and I think I have covered it. Member Bartoli.
Thank you, Mayor Chiara. I would like to see 2 meetings that end no later than 10 p.m. Or I would like to, if I had my way, we'd have 1 meeting and we would be done at 10 p.m. and that would be it. But I think given how we've been operating and our history, I think 2 meetings that begin at 6 or 6:30 and no later than 10 p.m. In the first, we're addressing the majority of our business, of the business that's in our agenda, and then the second meeting is set aside for executive session, approval of minutes, and the carryover of business from the first meeting. That's how I would like to see it.
Okay. Member Weisenfeld.
I don't think we should start before 6 o'clock to accommodate people who are working full-time. If we have 1 meeting, I think we should end at 11 o'clock. We should continue to try to work to make our meetings more efficient. If we have formally 2 meetings a month, then I'm with member, what's your name? Montgomery Tamaclo. I do know your name. Member Montgomery Tamaclo. See, that's getting late, yeah. That I think we should look at equity issues, and I think then, you know, I do agree with that. I think that there is something to be said about us being an all-female body, and maybe it's considered lesser work, and I think if we're going to put in the same amount of time, then I think maybe we should have better chairs and be better compensated.
Okay, Member Montgomery Tamaclo.
I guess my first option would be to go back to the finish at 11, see what it looks like next month when school's in session, when we have probably gonna have more public comment. We probably gonna have more things on the agenda that are more focused on the students and staffing and all of those issues, and see if like with giving the new procedures of like knowing when things are going to come up on the agendas and like making sure that like we are using the subcommittees more and giving the information to everyone beforehand so they can review it and everything, and see if that gets us out of here at 11. And then if it doesn't, then I would really like to consider looking at a second meeting that's more primarily focused on executive session that we just do virtually, and just like we knock out all the things that we can't talk about in person, in public, sorry.
Okay. Member Stein?
I think we should have the longer one meeting, or we should have two meetings. I mean, I'm very busy. I have a number of jobs, all sorts of demands. But my main interest is having enough time to do the work that this body needs to accomplish. So whatever that ends up being an agreement for the rest of you, I will, outside of constraints of teaching or working, I will be here. But we need time. So whether it's two meetings or it's a long meeting, we need the time. And that's my ideal thing, is that we actually have the time to do the work we need to do.
Okay, Member Martin.
My preference would be, in order to respect people who have very long days, which I think is all of us, that we do something like 6 to 10, and that we have a second meeting for executive session and any overflow.
Okay. Member Mahoney.
Thank you. I think it's important to remember that a full-time job is not 9 to 5. You know, there's hospital staff that work 7 to 3. Our teachers, the elementary teachers work full-time, but their job ends at 2:10. I don't think any one of us is any busier than any of the others based on our family, volunteer, or work commitments. I would propose that we have a 6 o'clock start time with the 5:30 monthly Student Advisory Council time, and a hard stop at 10 o'clock, and a virtual executive session monthly. If we can accomplish the executive session, then we should move to executive session at 9 or 9:30 for a once-a-month meeting. That would give us 4 hours for a meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Member Reese.
Member Mahoney just said exactly what I wanted to say, but better. So just ditto.
Okay. Member Jewell.
So I don't really have many opinions on this. I'm starting a new job. I don't know what that schedule looks like. I don't think that my comfort is more important than anybody else's. And I'm, as you can see, I'm meeting virtually, so I'm sitting in my own house. I think going late into the night is really hard, and I don't like that we keep our lawyer waiting and waiting. So kind of similar to what Member Stein said, like whatever's going to get the job done, I'll figure it out and get myself to the meetings as I've done. I also want to kind of put it out there too that some of us are on 2 subcommittees and or ad hoc committees and doing some other work and things too that other members aren't doing. So, time and equity is a lot, and how can we kind of share the work and make it more fair for everyone? And I don't have the solutions for that, but this is the work that we signed up for.
Okay, and Member Sanders-Sullivan.
Yeah, the last few speakers echoed what I was going to say. In an ideal world, 6 to 10 with a separate virtual executive session. And I struggle with this idea of, when I ran for this and got elected, I knew it was going to be hard work. And just because I don't want to be here at 11 or 12 or 1 in the morning doesn't mean that I want to work any less hard than anyone else. It just means that I I want to feel good the next morning for all the other things I need to do. And I don't think that that's asking too much, and I really have asked around. Northampton is special. It's special because it's Northampton for many reasons, but we're not special and that we need 6-hour meetings. I don't buy that.
Okay, you have what you need?
Thank you very much. This was really helpful. So what I'll do is I'm going to take all of the information that you shared and put together a couple of options for us to vote on next month. Moving on to the two items that are part of Section 14. So, Mr. Morgan, if you could bring up Section 1410 in the Rules of Procedure. So, when I was looking through the Rules of Procedure yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. Whenever I looked through them, I found this Section 14.10, which is in red. It's in the copy of the Rules of Procedure that our former clerk, Ms. Eckhoff, submitted on the last day of her tenure. And there's no record of a decision having been made to enter Section 14.10 into the Rules of Procedure. So checked in with Mr. Morgan, and I'm going to invite you to share what you discovered about Section 1410, and then I'm going to take a suggestion from there.
Okay, so it turns out that it is in the minutes for the school committee retreat on the 30th of March. I was emailed by a couple of people about this, and initially I didn't find it because I was searching for Section 1410 in the document, but it turns out that it was brought up at the retreat, and in fact the next slide on the previous slideshow that we had was the page, and there is a paragraph within the minutes in which the committee wants to preserve the sentiments of the Section 15 slide within the Rules and Procedures minus a particular line which has been deleted. So in fact, the inclusion of this paragraph within the Rules and Procedure was voted on and approved, but it shouldn't be in Section 14. It should be somewhere in Section 15.
Am I correct that this is essentially a massive Scrivener's error?
Hold on, I'm trying to pull up. So you're saying it should be
It's in the wrong place.
Section 15, which is meeting procedures.
Yes.
And do we know what number? 15 point?
That wasn't specified.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And I believe that this came up in our May 14th meeting, what had happened to the edits for Section 15. And this appears to be where they landed.
Okay. Member Weisenfried.
Yeah, I'd like to ask whether previous minutes are available. I remember that we struggled a lot with these minutes because the meeting was not recorded. And the initial retreat minutes that we reviewed were very confusing. They did not include a vote on this, I believe. I remember Montgomery Tamaclo and I had to leave the retreat. And so this was voted on after we left. The initial minutes, as I recall them, did not read in the way that the final minutes read now. So I'm asking whether there are draft minutes that Cassie did that we can go back to. I do not recall ever seeing in the initial minutes and the minutes that were finally approved at the June meeting, because she had to go back and redo them, what is reflected in the final minutes now.
Yeah, and I think my suggestion, rather than going back and going through the minutes, is might it be appropriate to take on a vote right now as to what we want to do with this, and then just solve that problem as opposed to having to go back. And Superintendent Azarloza, you might have some recommendations for us as well if you've been through things like this before.
Well, I'm just wondering if we're able to track the previous version. So you can on Google Docs.
It's not in the March version of it, because I looked at the March version.
And I just want to say,
Yeah.
I asked Cassie for a draft because I asked her where are those minutes, and she said I'm just finishing up, here's the draft that I'm gonna send to the school committee. But when I go back to that email and I click on the draft, it goes to the final minutes the way they appear
Okay.
today.
Okay.
And not the draft that I received.
I
And the
would-
draft
yeah.
I received, I believe, did not look, and I believe what we voted on did not look like this.
Well, if it's a Google Doc, you could look at past, different versions.
Okay.
Member Stein.
I have the same recollection about the minutes that we looked at. This is also one of the problems with not recording things, so you can't reference them. And I also believe there was someone in attendance who was transcribing it, so there may be a transcription of the meeting that we could reference. But I would make a motion to refer this to Budget and Property to see if they can determine what evidence
Rules and
exists. I'm sorry, what did I say? Budget and Property?
Yeah.
See, it's getting late. Make a motion to refer this to Rules and Policy to look at the document histories and the notes and determine if we can establish what actually was voted on, and then make a recommendation from there on how we resolve it or what.
Second.
Okay, motion is made by Member Stein, seconded by Member Bartley. Any further discussion? Member Weisenfeld, is your hand up for this?
No, sorry.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mashiara?
Yes.
Member Bartley?
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund?
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclow?
Yes.
Member Stein?
I'm unmuting myself. Yes.
Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Reese?
Yes.
Member Jewell?
Yep, sure, yeah.
Member Saina Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
We're going to need to suspend the rules.
I can do the next item before, I think.
Oh, wait, there's one more, actually.
Then I cannot.
There's one more, and I'm going to ask Anthony to bring up the email with the rule in the event of a disruption that City Council uses on how to adjourn to Zoom.
Can I do a point of information? I know this is super important, but haven't we gone way over the 30 minutes? That was a lot.
We have, yes, and I did not note that. I did see it. I did see it when it happened. I didn't say anything. So we have gone over the 30 minutes. We could stop right now, or we could do this last item.
How quickly do you think we can do this last item?
I think if Mr. Morgan brings up the rule, and then I can make a motion to approve this rule to be added to the Rules of Procedure, Section 14.
Point of information. When I looked at our agenda today, it seemed like, and maybe it's the semicolon problem, but it seemed like what we were going to talk about is clarifying contingency meeting process. And instead, we talked about a lot of things, and we did not see any of this information ahead of time. Just the rules of procedure, but not your PowerPoint, and not. So I feel like we're really straying very widely about, we're talking about a lot of things that I feel like weren't represented on the agenda.
It was the Section 14 slide in Tracy Novik's.
Section 14 is meetings.
Section 14 is meetings, and everything that we address is relevant to
Right,
meetings.
but this last, but here, Section 14, Rules of Procedure.
Is meetings, and we
Right.
went through point by point on.
And so the clarifying contingency meeting process was in addition to that.
Was in addition to do that, where I
And
wanted
now
to
what
gather
about
feedback.
This piece? Is this also part of?
This is part of
Section
Section 14. Yeah, this is part of Section 14.
Okay.
And I hear that you did not have information in advance, and we'll rectify that in the future. But this is the suggested rule that City Council uses in the event of a disruption. Could you read it for me, please, Mr. Morgan?
Sure. Section 14 question mark. The presiding officer may call for the recess of a hybrid meeting to be resumed as a remote-only meeting, where the presiding officer determines that a disruption, disturbance, or other interruption materially interferes with continuing the in-person portion of such a hybrid meeting. Prior to the recess, the presiding officer shall designate the time for the resumption of the meeting as remote only, giving adequate time for each councillor to log into the meeting remotely.
if anyone wants to look, it's 4.10.2. But these are city council.
So these are city council rules which they adopted, I think, about a year ago. And I think just given the state of the nation and turbulence around the world in many different spheres, it might make sense for us to have a rule that addresses this issue. So my motion is to incorporate this as the next rule in section 14 meetings.
Okay, Member Stein.
Is there a second? I'm making a motion.
Oh, sorry, you made a motion. Motion's
Yeah.
made by Member Bartley.
Second.
Seconded by Member Martin. Member Stein.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, again, something that would be helpful to have rules and policy discuss and bring back a recommendation to us about. We got 3 minutes left in the meeting. We still have a lot of things left to cover. We've dedicated nearly an hour to this portion. And this is a complicated issue in which we're going to really have to grapple with what a disruption, disturbance, or other interruption that materially affects actually is. And I don't think we're all going to agree on that. So I just, again, I think voting on this in such a fast fashion just doesn't make any sense.
Member Montgomery Tomaclo?
To add to what Member Stein said, I absolutely agree that this is something that rules and policies should look at, and I would actually probably prefer to bundle it with the other 14.10 since they're looking at meetings and like moving things around. And I know we've given you all a lot of work to do tonight, so I apologize for that in advance. But I think that this is a procedure-heavy meeting, and so having said that, I think that we need to keep in mind that these are public meetings. We are government officials. There are First Amendment concerns to be held when we talk about removing people from public meetings. And so I want us to be like very clear about like what we're doing here. And so I don't feel ready to vote on this, but I would, and like I said, I do apologize, rules and policy, but I would prefer to send it to the subcommittee for them to work on.
Member Weisenfeld?
Yeah, I'm going to respectfully disagree with that. I think that because this is such an important issue, it has legal implications. I think it's complex. I think we're likely not to agree on it. I really think that I don't want to spend a couple of subcommittee meetings coming with a recommendation about it just to have people say, well, we don't agree with you. So I would rather have a process where we all talk together, maybe with the attorney present if we need, and come to some kind of general consensus, and then rules and policy can finesse it a little bit, right? But I think that when something is controversial, you know, it's tempting just to clean off your slate, send it to the subcommittee, but I think when something is so controversial, it needs all our voices first.
Here's a motion on the floor, right? Member Bartley?
Yeah, I want to comment that open meeting law is very strict about what happens when there's a disruption. So it isn't. We have laws that govern disruptions. This is simply based on the policies, and the City Council has already done the work for us in creating a rule that we could simply take into our rules as well.
Member Martin?
I seconded just so that we could get to discussion on this. I don't quite know what I actually think. I think it's worthy of consideration in some way, and I'm hearing different ideas which sound all good to me in terms of how to do that. But one question is, if this was adopted by the City Council, does that mean it's already had legal review as it exists?
Yes.
The city solicitor reviewed it with the council president and other councilors, I believe.
May I make a motion to suspend the rules until 10 o'clock?
Yes, although there's already a motion on the floor. Can you suspend rules while there's already a motion on the floor? Yeah, okay, go for it.
Is there a second?
Second. So you said motion was till 10.
Till 10, yeah.
And seconded, motion's made by Member Bocelli, seconded by Member Sullivan. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Bartley?
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund?
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclo?
Yes.
Member Stein?
Yes.
Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Reese?
Yep.
Member Jewell?
Yes.
Member Saina Sullivan?
Yes.
Matt Shara?
Yes. Okay. Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? No one on Zoom. Okay, roll call, please.
This is to refer.
No, this is to
No, the
pass.
motion is to
Adopt.
Can you read the motion again?
The motion, Member Reese, is for us, for the school committee as a body to adopt section 14.2 as presented on the screen by Mr. Morgan into the next section of section 14 of meetings in our rules of procedure.
Okay, so it's 4.10.2.
But
in the city council rules.
Right, but in our rules, it would go into section 14 because it
Oh, I
regards the
see.
governance of meetings.
Got it. Okay.
So, okay. Oh,
Read it? Okay. The presiding officer may call for the recess of a hybrid meeting to be resumed as a remote-only meeting where the presiding officer determines that a disruption, disturbance, or other interruption materially interferes with continuing the in-person portion of such hybrid meeting. Prior to the recess, the presiding officer may designate the time for the resumption of the meeting as remote-only, giving adequate time for each school committee member to log into the meeting remotely. Okay, roll call, please.
Member Weisenfreund?
No.
Member Montgomery Tamako?
No.
Member Stein?
No.
Member Martin?
No.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Reese?
Yes.
Member Jewell?
No.
Member Saina Sullivan?
Excuse me, yes.
Mayor Shara?
Yes.
Member Bartley?
yes.
It's equal.
It
So then it
passes.
fails. Oh, it fails, yeah. Hold on, I just looked this up.
The MOA passed incorrectly because it was equal.
Motion fails with a tie.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you were done with yours.
So we're done. We do need to agree on a contingency time for this month. And I believe the time that the two of you are both available is next Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And the question is whether we can field a quorum for next Monday in the event that we don't finish all of our business tonight.
Can we do that at the end of the meeting? And move on with business?
I had included it here because I recognize that there are some members who might need to leave before we fall below a quorum. So I think it would make sense to choose that time now.
Okay, what time on Monday? That would be my third night meeting of that week. I'm just noting.
I'm not available.
I think it was 6:30 to 8:30.
No. Not available.
Okay, anyone else not available?
I am not available.
Okay, so that's 3, 4. Okay.
Me too. I can't make it.
Oh, I was including members Stein.
Oh, I didn't see
so
members.
that's 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so that is
we have 6.
just a quorum.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
So 6:30 on Monday is the contingency time in the event that we don't get through tonight. Okay. Thank you all for your participation on this very lengthy item.
Okay, so we're on to item G, which is clarifying school committee voting process on NACE MOAs. This will be very quick. So a vote taken to ratify a memorandum of agreement or understanding, MOA, MOU, with NACE in executive session is the official vote. In open session, we are announcing the results of the executive session vote if an MOA or an MOU with NACE was approved in executive session. There is not a need for a vote to ratify it in open session. We are just announcing what the result was. So that is clarifying that question. Okay.
Before we move on,
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah.
do we need to have a clear policy around that so that this mistake is
No, I
not
think
avoided
it's
in the
I
future?
think it's law. I don't think we need a policy.
Right, thank you.
Similarly, I don't care that it's a policy or not. Perhaps we could put that into our rules or something, just because there will be a new school committee someday, and it came up for us, it'll come up for other people. I don't know if we could have it recorded someplace for institutional memory.
We certainly can put it somewhere. I mean, I think any attorney that we have would share that with us as well. But yeah, we could put it in the rules of procedure. I don't know how you all want to do that, but.
Maybe we could I make that a new business item?
Sure.
For a future meeting?
Good plan.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You got that, Anthony? As a new item, okay. Discussion of the June 3rd school committee meeting, Member Stein.
Thank you. I've got some prepared comments to hopefully streamline things to my colleague's earlier point. But before I do so, I want to just raise a few examples, because I think always that examples are helpful for people to think through conceptual or abstract arguments. And I just want to note, we just had a very long hour-plus section of our meeting in which we really did not observe Robert's Rules of Order at all. We had this sort of like co-facilitated, chaired discussion. We had members speaking without being recognized by the chair. We had many things that diverged from the rules. And that was actually fine, right? Because it made sense for how this facilitation, and it would have been like a real battle if someone said point of order, you haven't been recognized, et cetera. I just want to point this out because we often do not follow Robert's Rules of Order. We didn't even use them on Saturday. I think I was the only one that consistently raised my hand and waited to be recognized before speaking. So I want to keep in mind our actual practices, because it's relevant to what I'm about to share with you in a certain perspective, right? So on June 25th, I wrote to the chair, the vice chair, and the superintendent to request a special meeting to have, quote, a broad conversation regarding the June 3rd school committee meeting, including but not limited to Robert's Rules of Order, group dynamics, and members' thoughts on the meeting, end quote. Member Weisenfreund made the same request, and per our rules of procedure, when two or more members request a special meeting, the mayor responded that they would find a time in July when a quorum is available. Ultimately, the quorum time was that 1 p.m. meeting, and we couldn't make it, so the agenda item came till tonight. And while recent events have further raised questions about procedure and decorum on the body, my comments tonight are really confined to the events of June 3rd and related elements. I'm going to offer some general comments about the rules, culture, customs, and practices of the body over the past 2 terms that I've experienced, the types of rules that we operate under, theories of textual interpretation of those rules, specific violations of rules that occurred on June 3rd, and how contestation over rules can often be misplaced disagreements funneled into a structure of argumentation. So the school committee operates under 4 interrelated and at times conflicting or ambiguous rule sets. These are the rules of procedure, which we adopt the start of the term and can amend at any point, like we just did tonight, the provisions of the city charter, and the statutory authority delegated to the body by Massachusetts law. And lastly, Robert's Rules of Order. The form of the committee and how it operates is shaped by all of these elements, and over time a set of customs, practices, and a political culture have arisen that I believe largely serve the body and its objectives. Insofar as we are a small governing body, we do not have a master set of reconciled rules harmonizing the disparate elements of the 4 rule sets that impact us. We do explicitly attempt to harmonize the elements of the charter with our rules of procedure and practices, and when questions arise, we consult our attorney regarding Massachusetts law. We also try to harmonize our policies in the same way. The least incorporated or consistently integrated element is Robert's Rules of Order, and which is an evolving system of rules aimed at fairly managing deliberative bodies. It is also the rules most at odds with the other 3 sets that we contend with. For example, the state of Massachusetts has not delegated statutory authority to school committees to conduct trials, expel members, or levy other sanctions. though Robert's Rules has many procedures for, quote, societies to do so. There are also many recommended provisions regarding executive session that would similarly run afoul of Massachusetts open meeting laws. As these examples make clear, not all of the rules in Robert's Rules of Order are binding or even legally permissible in the state of Massachusetts for our purposes. As a political theorist trained in textual interpretation, I would argue that reconciling the four texts that govern us in a consistent and rigorous way may be impossible. However, when we do try to ascertain their meaning, we need to have a theory of interpretation for how we evaluate them. For example, hermeneutics is one such theory of interpretation, and to put it simply, it holds that the meaning of the parts of a text can only be known by the whole, and the whole can only be known by the parts. This is what's called the hermeneutic circle, right? In other words, one has to read not only a section by its own, but in the larger context of the entire work to grasp the meanings, however incomplete or contradictory they may be. This is particularly important with Robert's Rules of Order, where depending which section you look at and all of the footnotes and sub-provisions, you may find things that completely diverge from one another, right? And you need to have an interpretive lens that can reconcile those divergences, right? Now, on the June 3rd meeting, Member Bartoli leaned into, and she announced this at the beginning, a stricter interpretation of Robert's Rules of Order, and in doing so, upheld some correctly, erred in applying some, and ignored others. For example, a member of the body accused those bringing the motion forward, the motion in question here was regarding opt-in, of, quote, acting in bad faith, which is a clear violation of 4321. These are all references to the 12th edition of the text, titled Refraining from Attacking a Member's Motives. The chair allowed members to address remarks to each other, a violation of 4322, titled Addressing All Remarks Through the Chair. Throughout the meeting, the chair offered their perspective on topics being deliberated in violation of 4329, rule against the chair's participation in debate. The chair repeatedly violated 4218, interruption of a member assigned the floor, failed to rule on a point of order, and recognized another member when a point of order had not been ruled on. This is all to say nothing about the standard which we find contained in 6111, calling a member to order, which gives us an idea of what is germane to a topic, right? And it states that you may call a member to order if they persist in speaking on completely irrelevant matters in debate. The chair should normally first warn the member, right? This is the only explanation we have of a standard besides germaneness within the text, right? So just to reiterate, it's persisting in speaking on completely irrelevant matters of debate. That's not off topic, that's a different standard of interpretation. Now, I lay all this out for those who are concerned about the details of violations that I've identified as a parliamentarian of the body rewatching the meeting. And for those who want a strict adherent approach to these rules, they should reflect on the totality of the rules which may be at play. The truth is that many of us who have chaired meetings of various sorts on this committee or simply participated as members have violated various elements of Robert's Rules of Order or other elements of our rules of procedure. Part of this has to do with the fact that we are a small body and that many of the rules are written for much larger bodies with different charges and authority. This is actually outlined in section 124, titled The Applicability of Modified Parliamentary Rules in Small Boards and in Committees, or a small board according to the definitions in the text. And also in 4921, which lays out the procedure in small boards. And here are the procedures that they lay out that you'll recognize some of that we practice and others that we don't, right? So first is you can raise your hand instead of standing to get the floor, something we do. Motions need not to be seconded, okay? There's no limit to the number of times a member can speak. Informal discussion of a subject is permitted while no motion is pending. A vote can be taken with clarity alone instead of needing a motion, and the chair may speak in information discussions and in debate. Right? So you can see some of these procedures conform with our practices while others diverge. There's a contradiction and ambiguity, and all that any of us can do is our best at any time. Right? This is the grace that we owe each other. And I strongly urge my colleagues not to pursue a path of restricting debate or policing of members in ways feel like more like an exercise of power than aimed at facilitating deliberation. This is really a road to nowhere for us. When I chair the Budget and Property Subcommittee, I'm concerned with facilitating a conversation where we substantively engage and move forward pressing and long-term budgetary issues facing the district. It's important to me that my colleagues, administrators, and guests have every opportunity to speak and be heard, and that it enriches our conversation. Lastly, I think that is the spirit in which we should try to reconcile these rules, understanding that we're not the US Senate, understanding that we don't have the staffing or the legal responsibility to do so, and that there's massive incoherence among our rule sets. I also just want to point out, as the parliamentarian for the body, it's sort of an ambiguous role, right? In my previous 2 terms, Member Sarah B. Cox was the parliamentarian, and when questions came up in this regard, they were asked to her, and then her word sort of was accepted by the chair most of the time as the say. I'd like us to think more about what the point of having an appointed parliamentarian is. All right, there is a lot of discretion in the rules about the option of the chair to consult or not consult a parliamentarian, to take a break or not. But I think if we avoid trying to be so strict and to use these things to interrupt one another, that might not be necessary. And I think it's a better way for us to move forward. I'd like to, with the chair's permission, I'd like if my colleague that also requested this meeting be allowed to speak to the point as well.
I didn't hear the last name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm hoping that you will allow my colleague who also requested the meeting to speak
Oh, I see.
to the point.
Okay. So Member Weisenfreud, and then I'll go to Member Sanders-Sullivan.
So thank you, Member Stein. I actually have nothing more to say. You know, I seconded your request because I was very disturbed at how that meeting went, and you know, in all my years of facilitating meetings, being part of boards, I had never quite experienced anything so disturbing. So I appreciate the clarity that you bring, the new clarity that you bring, and I hope that it'll be listened to. So thank you.
Member Sanders-Sullivan.
Yeah, so there's 2 issues here, and I want to speak to the other one that I see. When I saw this...
Point of personal privilege, you just talking to the mic, I can't hear.
When I saw this agenda item for this meeting, I reached out and I asked if I could get what you just read, you know, your rationale for requesting it, broad conversation regarding the June 3rd school committee meeting, including but not limited to Robert's Rules of Order, group dynamics, and members' thoughts on the meeting. And you also brought up the word culture. We held a 6-hour retreat on Saturday, and it wasn't to sit around and drink coffee and laugh. It was to talk about group dynamics. We didn't take personality tests. We went there to make some progress on some issues that we have, and you didn't take part. And I see that as a missed opportunity to work on things like group dynamics, your words, and culture. So I need to separate that out and call that out. And now we're left discussing this agenda item tonight, our thoughts on a past meeting, instead of doing what I was elected to do, which is to center our students in what we do and say. And I do have to make one more point. I sat and listened to you, and I felt like I was being treated like a student in night class. That was a bit much. I think your last 2 sentences summed up what you took. I don't know how long to say, but yeah. Thank you.
Can I respond?
Yes, you may.
You know, I resisted the urge of pointing out the rules of decorum that were violated in that last comment because I'm open to hearing things like this. I don't want to weaponize them in that way. But this meeting was supposed to happen prior to the retreat, and it didn't. And we explained at the retreat why we did not feel comfortable doing that process. And the fact that that was expressed over and over again ahead of time, there was ample opportunity for the leadership of this body to come to us and say, how could we facilitate this in a way that you would participate? And that was never done. So to say to me, right, when I made it explicitly clear what I would need to participate, not actually wasn't even asked, or like what my issue was with the way that was going to be facilitated, by whom, and in what context, and to say, because you didn't do that, you're somehow, I can't take this seriously, or I don't even know what the implication was, right? It's like a sort of a gotcha type feeling, right, for me. Ignores the fact that like you don't get to determine how people are comfortable and how they're willing to participate in processes. And if you care about culture, you take the steps to make sure everyone in the group buys into what's going on and doesn't feel, right, like they can't participate if you really want it to be successful. So I'd sort of turn the mirror around. I'd turn it around and say, okay, why wasn't the work done, right? This is the second retreat. You would ignore my issue with the facilitator of the last retreat and battled on ahead, and then people complained I didn't go. If you don't want to hear my feedback, why do you want me at the table to build a culture? If you're telling me what I'm saying to you is not important and you don't care about my opinion, why am I feeling like I'm part of a group that you want me to come build something with, right? It's inauthentic at best and insulting at worst, frankly.
Member Martin.
Really just two things. One, I see on our agenda that we have something about a training on Robert's rules. That seems germane. I'd like to hear about that when we get there. Second, what decisions and actions have we not done in this body because of, you know, what you're addressing? We have hired a superintendent, we've approved a program of study, we've held budget hearings, we've passed a budget, we've launched a new aftercare program. I would like to focus on those issues and move forward.
Member Bertoli.
I've had my hand up for like.
Yes, but you've already spoken, and she has not, and neither had Member Martin.
I want to extend appreciation to Member Stein for the grace that he offered me in the facilitation of that meeting. I am a first-term vice chair. It was my second time chairing a meeting. I only when researching a Robert's Rules training really came to, and through conversations with our attorney, came to an understanding of the competing legal spaces that we're operating in. And I really appreciate what you said around it may be impossible to reconcile the laws that govern us. You know, that said, I'm just going to leave it there. I think it's this offering of grace to all of us who are in, or the majority of us who are in new positions as we embark on this work together. That's really important. So I do want to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Member Montgomery Tomoko.
I'm not a fan of Robert's Rules for many, many reasons, and I've mentioned this in other bodies that I'm on, primarily because it is 2026 and we're adhering to a text that is 150 years old. We have moved forward in so many ways in our democracy and our society, and yet we're still using what I consider, frankly, antiquated ways to communicate. And so I appreciate having the flexibility to have difficult discussions and to participate or not participate. And since it was brought up, I do want to send a sincere thank you to Superintendent Azar-Loza, who completely accepted our not participation in that portion of the meeting, told us it was fine, and she would check in on us periodically, because like I think that embodies the spirit of what sometimes it feels like we are being bludgeoned over the head, is that like we all come to things in different ways. And her intention was to at least get us all in the same room. And so also, like, I don't know how many retreats you all have gone to, but pretty much every retreat I've been to, not all activities are mandatory. So like, I do want to say I appreciate that her modeling the acceptance that she requested all of us to give each other during that time.
Member Weisenfeld.
Yeah, I wanna second that. Since Member Sanders Sullivan did bring up the retreat, you know, I think this is a sore spot for many of us. I think I also really appreciated how our superintendent facilitated that piece of it. You know, not to other the people who did not want to participate. And I also want to say that I appreciate Vice Chair Bartley tonight in being inclusive and really wanting to hear from everybody. And I think that I would like to offer that, I begged Member Bartley both times to include the body in planning a retreat, because a retreat is a sacred and special time for a body to be together. And, I was told, this is my job and I don't need to be collaborative. And I think that to be...
I do want to raise a point
please
of
don't
order.
interrupt me.
No, point of order, because I think you're misrepresenting what I said.
It's on tape.
What?
I did not say this is my job and I don't need to be collaborative.
No, you didn't say that
Point of
exactly.
order, that's not a point of order.
Okay, point of order, I feel my words are being misrepresented.
Okay, let me rephrase. If you go back to the recording of the meeting before the retreat, I asked Member Bartley to be inclusive and let us contribute in planning the retreat. And Member Bartley said something like, it is my prerogative as vice chair to plan it. It is not a place where I need to collaborate with others. Something along those lines, and we can pull up the recording. So I think that, right, I don't know if any of you here, Member Sander Sullivan, Member Martin, anybody online, heard me plead for inclusivity and collaboration. I don't know if you did, right? And I don't know if you heard the response. But I think that for most folks, if they hear something like that, right, and they experience such a request repeatedly, right, and also Member Stein brought up, he said, please don't use that facilitator, gave other suggestions, steamrolled over that. I think that if you observe that lack of listening over time, one might take perspective and say, hey, I kind of understand why somebody didn't want to participate in a retreat that they were excluded from before it even started, that's supposed to be about team building. So I do feel like I need to say that. And I would like to offer and hope that we can change course, not exclude people based on because their ideas or needs or perspectives are different, be more inclusive, be more collaborative, and be more respectful, and not abuse the power of our position. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to members. I just want to remind everyone what the item on the agenda, and that too is the discussion of the June 3rd meeting. We have gone far afield of that. First, members, I'm going to get you in one sec. Is there a motion to suspend rules again?
Motion to suspend rules, 30 minutes.
Until
10:30.
Motion's made by Member Montgomery Tomoko, seconded by Member Weisenfreud. Any discussion? Roll. Sorry, Anthony. Okay. Roll call, please. Did you not print it? You can never print enough.
Sorry, so who is it proposed by?
Me. And
Great, seconded by?
Member Weisenfreud.
Great, okay. Member Montgomery Tomoko.
Yes.
Member Stein?
Yes.
Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
No.
Member Rees?
Yeah.
Member Jewell?
Yep.
Member Sainer Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Shara?
Yes.
Member Bartley?
No.
Member Weisenfreund?
Yes.
I just
Motion
wanna-
passes, sorry.
Member Mahoney, did you vote no?
That's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
I
Yes,
just wanted to
no.
make sure. I thought I heard that, but I wanted to clarify. Okay,
Thank you.
great.
Member Rice has had her hand up.
Yeah, we had to do this vote to suspend rules before I could go to her. So now I'm going to Member Rees.
Thanks. I was going to point off that we were off topic, and I know that some of us, including myself, don't love Robert's rules, but one of them is that we don't imply or assign intentions to any other member, and there was a whole lot of that going on there. I also would like to move on to the other items in the agenda. We've now spent more time talking about this meeting than the meeting lasted. And it is also a meeting where we have already approved the minutes of and talked about extensively at another meeting. So I would be very you know, I would appreciate moving on to the next item because this seems like it's devolving as well.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we're on to I and bullying intervention. And Superintendent Ezra-Liz.
So you have the backup there regarding our new bullying intervention that we're going to be training our school adjustment counselors, our psychologists, and our social workers on. We'll be implementing across all 6 schools and monitoring the implementation and the impact. And so I'm very excited about it. It's very restorative in nature, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Member Martin.
It sounds really promising. Thanks for bringing some innovation to an area where we really need some help. Have you actually lived with this process in any of the districts that you've worked in and led?
Yes.
Or led?
Yes, in Worcester and in Rochester, we both did it and we had great success.
Okay, thank you.
Member Montgomery Thomas.
Thank you for this. Have you had a lot of buy-in from the cabinet and leadership teams?
The cabinet team is excited about it. I have not spoken to the school adjustment counselors or the social workers or the psychologists. They're off during the summer. But what I wanted to do was, my plan is to train everyone. I believe it's September 1st. I've got them for 2 hours in the afternoon. And I want to, when I say we're going to implement it in the schools, I'm going to do it with them. I'm going to support them, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Any further discussion? And you do not need any action from us?
No.
Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, the upcoming meetings were inadvertently left off the agenda, so I'm going to read them. And if I'm missing any, let me know. Rules and Policy, Wednesday, the 19th of August, and that's at 5 p.m., I believe, right, on Zoom. Curriculum Subcommittee, Monday, the 31st of August at 5 p.m. on Zoom. Our next full school committee meeting is Thursday, September 10th, and that is still at 6:30, right? And that's hybrid here and on Zoom. Any other meetings that you all know of that I missed? Okay, terrific. Future business topics, as always, there's a year-long agenda that you can click on. Future business and meetings, what does that mean? I don't know. Discussion of Robert's Rules training and workshop, Member Bartoli, and the late start time, Member Sainer Sullivan. So these will be taken up at a future meeting.
And is that late start time of what?
The high school, or maybe all schools start time? Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot that has been left out from that, and it's something that we need to work on for next our next agenda setting meeting. Okay. But Member Sainer Sullivan's request was late start time at the high school.
Okay, so we're up to executive session. Would someone please make a motion?
I got it. Pursuant to MGL 30A 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee. We are discussing A, June 11th, 2026 executive meeting minutes, B, June 17th, 2026 executive meeting minutes, C, July 29th, 2026 executive meeting minutes, Unit C and G MOA, including a vote, Unit E MOA, including a vote, F, litigation updates, and G, personnel complaint updates.
Motion's made, is there a second?
Second.
Sorry, who's the second? Member Sainer Sullivan, okay. And roll call on entering executive session. We will be adjourning from executive session and not coming back into open session. So anyone who's still with us, we'll say good night to you as long as we agree to go into executive session. So roll call, please.
Ms. Yara.
Yes.
Member Bartley.
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund.
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamako.
Yes.
Member Stein.
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yes.
Member Reese,
Yes.
Member Jewell,
Yes.
Member Saina Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Okay, again, good evening, everyone who's still with us. We'll be going into executive session and adjourning from there, not coming back into open session.
Should we stay on Zoom or? Do we have
We
anybody?
have to.
But I mean,